TikTok, time to rock. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon to everyone who's watching from all over the world. Just making sure I remembered to send out this link to various communities. Yes, I did. Why? Because I'm on the ball. I'm on the ball, unlike every Turkish German person in the entire universe. Hey, how you doing, AP?
Hey, buongiorno. I'm doing good. How are you?
Hey, you heard about this Mosab Hassan Yousef dude?
Oh, the one who chose the cow?
He chose the cow. And in his new interview with Jordan Peterson, he explains. He actually, just in the middle, he didn't get asked about this or anything. He's just in the middle of the interview. And this is why I said that I choose the cow. He starts breaking down why he chose the cow.
That's good.
To Jordan Peterson. Hey, by the way, isn't it cool that he's all over the place right now? That he's actually getting on the big shows?
Yes, it absolutely is. It is, and that's important, and it should be happening because the guy has he has a lot to say. He comes from a good place of solid authority in terms of having an opinion on the conflict that is going on right now. It is the conflict, the war that is happening right now is between Israel and Hamas, and this guy was born and grew up inside Hamas, inside the brain of Hamas, with the co-founders, and he was always around the main key figures of Hamas. So this guy is very important. Mosab Hassan Yousef experienced Hamas himself. He was a Hamas member, and he switched out of Hamas and became an Israeli security agency spy. This guy has a lot to say, and people should listen to him.
Yeah, and his interview, I haven't finished it. I got about 20 or 30 minutes left of the interview with Jordan Peterson, but my goodness, this guy's a very intelligent, very good speaker. Because he's interacting with Jordan Peterson and so on, and Jordan's firing questions at him and so on, and very, very sharp and really, 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 really interesting stuff when he goes through his background and explains how he eventually decided to break with the group that he was raised in, why he eventually decided to side with Israel. Tons of interesting stuff in there. Could be multiple live streams just going through some of the things that he said, and videos as well. Made pretty interesting points along the way, small points, like not things you would want to fill an entire live stream with, but like short videos and stuff. Anyway, very interesting stuff. We're going to go through specifically a few of the clips.
Just his book, by the way, I read his book twice, and it's incredible. I loved it. I suggest it's called Son of Hamas. I would suggest everyone go and read it.
Yeah, we're going to go through the clips on that lead up to why he chose the cow, because they kind of jump back and forth, right? Like he'll be describing something in his life, and Jordan Peterson will start asking him about that, and then they'll go kind of down a rabbit trail and stuff like that, and then he'll say, okay, and then Peterson will go, okay, now back to what you were saying, and then so this might be 10 or 20 minutes later when he says, okay, back to what you were saying, and then they get back to the kind of story, but he pieces together why he chose the cow. For those of you who don't know, what we're talking about, I should have actually had that clip ready. But Mosab Hassan Yousef posted a clip on Twitter one day when he said, if I had to choose between 1.6 billion Muslims and a cow, I would choose the cow, right? And like, even those of us who criticize Islam were like, gosh, what are you saying there? What, like, are you saying if there were like 1.6 billion people over here, and you had to choose, or a cow on this side, you had to choose which one I'm going to save? You choose the cow. That's anyway. He breaks down what he meant, but it became sort of a little meme thing. I choose the cow. All right, guys. So we ready to jump into some of this?
For the children, yes, we are.
Oh, he talks about the children. So anyway, guys, we're specifically, they cover a ton of stuff. He covers the background and formation. I mean, they talk about Yasser Arafat. Matter of fact, before the first clip that we're starting with, there's this discussion of Mosab is pointing out stuff that AP often points out, that there was no thing called Palestine. There was the Ottoman Empire, but he breaks down the history. There was the Ottoman Empire. Ottoman Empire loses the war, then it's controlled by the British. Then they have to figure out how to divide up the land, and you've got this area called the British Mandate of Palestine. That's just a name for the area that was controlled by the British, and then they have to decide how to cut it up. Israel accepts a two-state solution. The Muslims declare war, and so anyway, he breaks all of that stuff down. And then Jordan says, but you obviously didn't believe this when you were growing up. And that sort of leads into his background. And that's where we're going to start off. Point is, covers lots of other topics along the way, other than us trying to get down to why he chose the cow. The cow. All right, so let's go ahead and jump into one of these clips here.
How did you come to these conclusions? I mean, I don't imagine this is how you looked at the world when you were young. So how did you come to these conclusions? I understand that your father, Sheikh Hassan Yousef, is a co-founder of Hamas. So obviously that's complicated, to say the least. So tell me how you looked at things when you were a young man, and then what events in your life started to change your mind?
Yeah. Also, as far as a little bit of background here, he talks about how, like when he was younger, he wasn't considered terribly important. And matter of fact, I don't even think we're getting into this, but he talks about just people regularly like beating the crap out of him when he was young, like anything he would do, because he said he would like get into trouble just by goofing off and stuff like this. And he would say a mob would form and beat him unconscious and stuff like that when he's a kid. As he got older, he became more important because of his who his dad was, and got to the point where even when apparently, I mean, Hamas is like super paranoid. If they even think that you're a spy, they'll like torture you and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And he was saying he was actually he didn't have it nearly as bad as some of the other people who were captured by Israel did because of who his dad was and so on. But anyway, when he was young, he did not have that privilege apparently.
Since I was very young, I had.
How old are you now?
I'm 45 years.
45, okay. So you were born in about 1980?
1978.
78, yeah.
So I had critical
2 years younger than me, looking pretty young there. That's good.
Thinking from the early beginning of my life. When the mullah told the funeral crowd that the angels of heaven are going to come back and interrogate this deceased in the grave, they're going to bring his soul back, they're going to torture him, and if he does not answer the right question, it's going to be an open hell. I went back to the graveyard and I investigated. I was only 10 years old.
You hear this? So he says he's 10 years old. A lot of people won't understand this. That in Islam, there's the punishment of the grave, where you get punished in your grave. This is before like the final judgment and the resurrection. So on. This is while you're still in the grave. And he doesn't bring this up, but there are all these passages from Muhammad where urinating improperly is the main cause for the punishment of the grave. Allah's like, every time you didn't pee while squatting, you're getting punished for this in the grave, and so on. Over half of the punishment of the grave is for urinating improperly, not peeing while you, not squatting while you pee, and things like that. So it's actually pretty silly. Anyway, he breaks down how he heard about this when he's young, that there's this punishment of the grave, and so he wants to sneak into the graveyard to hear, to hear what's going on, to see if this is actually happening, and so on.
It is a legitimate concern to have as a child. There is actually a hadith which says that there were one day like loud screams, and Muhammad said, "What you're hearing there is the people of the grave being tortured."
Or was it this?
So it's obviously something that people could hear occasionally. So you probably can't go to a graveyard and hear it, right?
Yeah, so keep in mind what AP's just saying. From the hadith, you would think that you could actually hear this, but no one does because everyone's scared to go there. And so he's pointing out, he's the one who's like, no, I'm not scared to go. I'll go there.
And since that point of my life, I did not find death intimidating as much as actually became my drive to seek a higher truth. It led me
So
eventually.
tell me about that again. I don't understand that story exactly. What event?
Isn't that funny? Like he just glosses over it, like, yeah, you know, the punishment of the grave, and then we go there and wait, what? And Jordan, wait, what's that?
Wait, I don't understand.
Was that?
So basically, in the Islamic belief,
Yeah.
there is something called the grave torture. This is a device the religious authorities use to control the Muslim population.
Yes.
When the person dies,
What are you yesing for?
Perfect description of the purpose of it. He doesn't play around. He just
No,
says
he doesn't. One thing, this dude does lots of things. Playing around is not among them anymore.
is in the grave, supposedly, there is torture and there is interrogation. If the person doesn't know who is his God, who is his prophet, if he failed to answer the questions regarding the religion, they're going to be tortured painfully. They're like...
So it's like a last judgment sort of.
yes,
last
but it
judgment,
happens in the transitional period.
Yeah.
So, because
Doesn't that suck? You get the crap beat out of you in the grave,
Yeah.
and then you like go to hell or something.
This is not a joke, by the way. It's like I learned this when I was a Muslim. There was extensive teaching about that actually in my community about the punishment of the grave. It's what it's generally called, where these two angels come and they ask you basic questions, and it is so sick and so messed up that they even lengthily describe what is exactly going to happen. And I've always had a problem with that aspect. Like when people say, "Oh, then this is going to happen and that is going to happen," and they're going to say this, I'm like, yeah, okay, that sounds a little bit far fetched. Like, how do you know all that? How do you know that that's exactly what's going to unfold? I'm not sure about that. But what they basically say is, those angels come and they will say, "Who is your Lord?" And you will know that it's Allah. But if you didn't have proper faith and proper and didn't properly follow and practice Islam, then you will not be able to get the words out. You will not be able to properly say Allah, and the angels will say, "Who is your Lord?" and they will torture you for it. It's like so messed
it'd
up.
It'd be like Muhammad. Read. I don't know how. Read.
Yeah.
I can't read.
Probably inspired by that. Yeah. And who knows what else they do, considering that, Islam focuses very much on different forms of grape and stuff like that.
Oh, you're about to hear some of that. I didn't even know this part. Of his background story.
Yeah.
But we're about to see it here in a little bit.
people die, and they've been dying for thousands of years. So when the afterlife hell is going to happen, which is a fundamental thing in Islam, the afterlife, heaven and hell. So
yes, that sucks because you got these people who've been dead for thousands of years. They're still getting curb stomped in their grave, and then they haven't even gotten to hell yet.
Many people die, and is there torture? So they come up with the story that there is grave torture. Whether Muhammad said this or not, but it's widely believed in the Islamic faith, and many people were afraid. When I was very young, I asked all my friends to go back with me to the cemetery, and none of them agreed. And when I went,
Isn't that weird? Like all of my friends would have gone. He couldn't find. But I mean, my friends wouldn't have been scared of the punishment of the grave. But that's interesting that, like, it's a typical kid thing. It's like a kid waiting, hearing that Santa Claus is coming. So, okay, I'm going to go wait up and actually see if this stuff happens. I'm going to wait and see if this happens. But he hears about when he's a kid, the punishment of the grave. And so he's like, goes to all his friends. Hey, let's go check it out. Right? Let's go out there in the middle of the night in the dark. And then we can hear we'll hear if there's this punishment of the grave. And like, no, we're not going out there. Are you crazy? We'll be punished for that sort of thing. But he had to go. So anyway, he had to go alone. That's interesting stuff.
back, I was terrified. Eventually, I did not hear any screaming, any torture. And I put my ear to the ground, trying to
You
listen.
did this alone?
I did this alone because none of my friends would come back with me to the graveyard. It's terrifying.
Is this during the day?
It was during the day.
During the day.
But eventually, I found my peace even at nighttime. And this might sound a bit psychic, but
I think you mean psycho.
Psychotic.
He kept going back to the graveyard first during the day, then the night, listening to the ground to see if he hears people being punished, and he didn't hear anything. And then it gave him peace about death. Anyway,
I reached the point that was my challenge to myself, where was I able to lay down in an open grave and look at the stars at midnight.
How old were you when you did that?
I was maybe 12, 13 years old.
What do you think drove you to do that?
It's my fear of death.
Yeah.
Because the entire culture...
Usually people avoid it, though, rather than confronting it.
Well, it sounds strange.
dude, isn't that like a perfect example? Like, he has this fear of death, but he confronts it. He says he's scared of death. He's scared of the punishment of the grave, but he confronts it. Starts off during the day, and then eventually, but keeps going back. Eventually gets there to where he's there at night. And then eventually gets to where he can lay down in a grave at midnight, looking up at the sky. But that's like personality-wise, you get it. This is a guy who confronts. This is a guy who confronts things, and he's still doing it. Anyway, it's interesting how a personality forms when you're young like that, and you can see the same personality type when you're older.
But this is when I made peace with death. And this is actually...
That should have been the name of his book, Peace with Death. Anyway.
Empower.
No, Son of Hamas is pretty good. Follow-up could be Peace with Death.
Yeah, second book.
Peace with Death.
What empowered me throughout my journey.
Right, so that's very young when you did that.
Yes.
How many times did you go visit a grave?
So basically, we were just next to the graveyard.
Wow.
And this is not actually the most important thing of observing death and having an early age encounter with death. That the first Palestinian Intifada started when I was living in that neighborhood. So...
And you were living where exactly?
Right next to the cemetery.
Okay.
So here is the cemetery wall, and here's my bed.
And guys, this is very interesting stuff. So he's right beside the cemetery. And so this impacts him because he has easy access to the cemetery. That's where they live. And so this allows him to go and confront his fear of death. But also, all these people who start dying because of the uprising are all being brought in daily right beside his house. He sees the endless supply of bodies being brought into the graveyard.
Okay, and where are you geographically located at that point?
That's Ramallah and Al-Bira, to the north of Jerusalem.
Okay.
It's today the capital of what's the Palestinian Authority.
Okay.
Basically.
Okay. So you're north of Jerusalem.
Yes.
All right.
But we were at the heart of the conflict. And now all the bloodshed, all the youngsters who got shot during the first Palestinian Intifada were buried next door. So I guarantee you that there is no one in that conflict that witnessed first-hand bloodshed as much.
Hey, listen to this last part he just said.
So I guarantee you that there is no one in that conflict that witnessed first-hand bloodshed as much as I did as a child.
He's pointing out all the death that he saw because he lives right beside the graveyard. So other people might see someone die in their area. He sees all the bodies that are being brought in because of the uprising. Anyway.
He has he talks about this in his book too. I think in the beginnings somewhere, about the whole grave thing, and how he keeps hearing from people things like, "Oh, don't go near the grave, don't go there, don't go here, don't go there." You know, it's scary and stuff like that. But he sees how bodies come in again and again and again and again, and I think he mentions like an ocean of graves, ocean of bodies, or something like that. And he keeps thinking about that. He becomes a little bit, I guess, obsessed with the fact that so many bodies every day are being brought to that graveyard, and people say all kinds of different things about the grave. So he's curious about what actually happens there, and if it's worth it. if it's worth sacrificing so many lives and putting them there and all that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's what eventually leads him up. There are lots of things, but yeah, that's among the things that start him on the trajectory. And if the trajectory continues, he explains. Eventually, we're not going to cover it here, but he explains what he's aiming at.
Hundreds of people were buried next door, whether they died naturally or they died because of the conflict or internal conflict between Hamas and Fatah, where they shot each other or stabbed each other. So the entire conflict was displayed in front of my eyes as a child. And I couldn't find a stronger motive. Why are we suffering? Why are we dying? And who's doing this to us?
So, AP, when you rudely stepped away to snort a line of cocaine or whatever you did, he points out that so you've got the people who are dying because they're hurling rocks at the IDF or something like that, and then people dying for other things, but then also people dying because of the various terrorist groups killing each other, killing and slaughtering each other, and so everyone's being brought in here, right? Can you imagine this? Like this is how you're growing up right beside a graveyard. There's this endless supply of bodies being brought in. Old people, young people, people killed by the IDF, people killed by the rival terror group, and he's looking at all this as a young person.
Yeah.
Of course, the narrative on the Palestinian street that this is Israel, this is the Jewish people killing us. And as a child, I did not have the power to discern, to see a higher truth. How could I? It's the same thing with the children now in Gaza. They suffer the consequences of war, but they don't realize or understand how the war originated. So in that situation, I had the trauma of the first Palestinian Intifada, and all the memories stay with me. This is what empowers me to carry on.
His memories of all this stuff are what empowers him to keep on. Matter of fact, can you imagine that? Like when you're saying, "Hey, you have to go and crush Hamas. You have to do it. Israel has to go and just crush Hamas." It's easy for a college student in America who has never seen what this constant fighting, this endless fighting causes, has never seen this. He's right next. It's still embedded in his memory, the endless supply of bodies that are being brought in right next to him as far as what this is causing. And you've got all these dumb college students saying, "No, keep it going, keep the endless cycle going, because it's cool for us to say it." Bunch of morons.
That was when that would be
1987.
87. Okay.
1987 to 1992, 1990.
What's the definition of Antifada?
Chaos.
That's your clip right there.
Uprising, but the very definition, not only of Intifada,
Chaos.
of Palestine, very similar definitions. It's chaos. It's disorder. It's
By the way,
the
the year that you mentioned there, 1987, is precisely the year that Hamas started. So that's when Hamas starts out, and it's like where also the Intifada begins. And this is it's a peak of complete bloodshed, massacre, chaos, not just with Palestinians against Israel, but as he mentions, also Palestinians among each other. Hamas specifically at that time emerges as a group from a supposedly peaceful charity movement. It turns into an armed militant group because their idea is that the PLO, which was fighting for the Palestinians for decades, is not good enough and is secular, does not respect Islamic morality and all that, and is selling out. Therefore, we, Hamas, need to create a new movement, or we need to create a new movement and call it the Hamas, the Islamic Resistance Movement, and fight not only Israel, but also those among us who harm the cause. And they start infighting and brutal fighting against Israel at the same time, and he is right at the center of it, right in the middle of it. And I don't know if you want to understand what an intifada looks like idiots, imbeciles today in the West say dumb stuff like
Globalize.
intifada revolution, globalize the intifada.
it. Moron.
Ask Israelis what an intifada looks like. Ask Israelis who have a memory of the first and the second intifada what an intifada actually looks like, where where at all times regular people are constantly witnessing destruction, witnessing explosions, witnessing bloodshed, witnessing body parts, always fearing to be randomly part of an explosion here and there. Whenever you see a somebody who identifies as Palestinian, you suddenly become paranoid, thinking, is this person going to do something terrible or not? And then you of course are asked, oh, why are you prejudiced against Palestinians? Well, I'm sorry, but if a population embraces and engages in such a bloodthirsty, such a messed up way of fighting, it becomes a little bit difficult to just look at that demographic and not have concerns, not be worried. It becomes very difficult. Israelis know this. I talked to many of them. You can ask them how they feel about it.
And this actually ties into something, one of Andrew Tate's criticisms, which people on his side cheered for, but they do not apply it consistently. He was pointing out when he was responding to Ben Shapiro and Jordan Peterson saying, hey, you guys who are saying go after Hamas, it's easy for you to do from where you sit to say these things when you guys are encouraging people to keep the violence going, but you guys aren't going out and fighting. It's easy for you. The exact same claim would apply to like college students. You guys don't have to live with the bloody consequences of what you're saying. Mm-hmm. You just say it from over here, from your college campus, and then you go home to mommy's house at night. There are people actually die over this endless cycle of violence continuing forever, which is apparently what people want until Israel's completely wiped off the map. Well, wild stuff. All right, so that was the first clip. We have a few more clips. Let's go ahead and take some super chats real quick. Then we'll jump into the second clip. I think this is where he talks a lot about stuff that happened to him when he's got. Again, guys, I pointed out I have the link in the description box. There's way more stuff in there than what we're covering. He also covers how these leaders like Yasser Arafat and so on, and various leaders of Hamas become billionaires. They keep this stuff going. They keep this fighting going. And anytime someone wants the fighting to stop, who do you have to pay? You pay the leaders. You pay the leaders off to calm things down. In other words, if you've got Yasser Arafat, who's born in Cairo, Egypt, Mosab describes him as a complete grifter, but he comes in as like the champion of the Palestinians. And how does this guy become a billionaire? Well, he's constantly getting paid off. If you want to calm things down for a while, you have to send this guy money. Otherwise, he's gonna escalate the violence and so on. And so these guys just become billionaires doing this, and still going on. He talks about that, and they talk about Iran's connection to Hamas. They talk about all that stuff. So anyway, lots of pretty interesting stuff in there. Some chat here. Yes. Stefan says, Dr. Dwood making sense of the math argument like a nerd. No, I did it, not like a nerd. A nerd would not do it like I did it. Christian, misunderstood Tawheed as pure oneness instead of unity. More than one equals one. Muslim. Yeah, draw your own conclusions. That is true.
Alhamdulillah. Yeah.
Dwood, I'm disappointed that you missed a perfect opportunity in your Trinity video to give us a Quran-accurate art of what Allah looks like. You said that's not smacking my head. You said it's shaking my head, right? SMH.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, shaking my head.
Shaking my head. Yeah. Well, Melissa, that you got to wait. I'm going to have ISO Elohim draw an anatomically correct portrait of Allah. And then we're going to get Chloe, who does animations, to show this gremlin or whatever, however you want to describe it, this monster, flying down from the highest heaven to the lowest heaven to hear people's prayers. Gonna do that. Once we have that, we can use it for various things. But yeah, did not have time to actually incorporate something super cool like that in my video.
Yes.
But it will happen. It will happen, Melissa.
Yes.
Just finished Son of Hamas. Love the part where Mosab says he hates people who are late. And if he had to... I just love the part where... I love this kind of joke. Love the part where he said, Mosab says he hates people who are late. And if he had to go live with them or a cow, he'd choose the cow. That is indeed... that was my favorite part of the book.
I like that part, but not too much. Yeah.
Douglas Murray just interviewed him this week. That's pretty epic. Back-to-back interviews, Douglas Murray and Jordan Peterson. That's huge. And guys, you don't realize how you have lots of people who are on a ton of popular shows, and a lot of the shows have become one-sided. So it's actually good that you have someone like Mosab being interviewed on really, really popular shows and podcasts and so on. Dr. Phil, and then Douglas Murray, Jordan Peterson. Love to see that guy on every show in the world. At least for people to finally get an insider view. He does a lot of that in the show, more than we're going to cover in this live stream. He does a lot of explaining what life was like back then in that area. Again, see, you pointed out that he's talking about when he's young, and that this is around the time when Hamas is actually forming. So before that time, he's no one special. And he's just, anything you did, anytime you got a line, a mob would form and just beat you unconscious. It's like, gosh, this is how you grow up. And this is what people in the West are going, that's what needs to be in charge over there. Those are the people, them people, they need to be in charge over the Jews too. Wow. Shout out for Robert Spencer. Let's love mob his pay tree on so he can get the equipment upgrades he needs. Also buy his books if you can't. Yeah, guys, you go to Robert's channel, Jihad Watch. He is having all sorts of technical problems. He doesn't know why. I suspect just because maybe he's got old equipment. I don't know. Because I have a problem with this iMac. Whenever it works when I'm using it. I'm using Ecamm right now. If someone sends me like an Ecamm link or certain programs, it'll say don't recognize the camera. So anyway, I'm just thinking about what it doesn't really matter because I just use this for live stream. I use my laptop, and my laptop's totally tricked out. But I'm wondering if part of his problems is he's just got some 8-year-old computer or something like that. Anyway, the point is support Robert if you can. He's doing awesome work, and he's one of the OGs who was exposing jihad long before I was, before almost anyone was.
Yeah.
Michelle says, I was driving and burst out laughing through hearing him say, choose the cow. There is another, her 37 moms on the Dwood. He is very good. Yeah.
Nice.
Mosab is very intense. Yeah, he is. He could be in movies like a hitman or something like that. Mosab is very intense. His book is fantastic. I was in IDF during the Second Intifada, and I recall all those events he describes. Made me nostalgic. You mock my choice of cow. Cow is wonderful creature. It gives many gifts. New York strip, porterhouse, Hamas burger, boat roast, milk, cheese, cream, whipping cream, El Marco, and leather. What the heck?
That's pretty good.
Yeah, that is pretty good. It's funny. He actually gives his reasons for choosing the cow.
I just want to hear why he chose the cow. Yeah.
AP, you skipped my hilarious super chat in your last live stream. I call upon the curse of Allen that stub your pinky toe on the corner of a wall, causing you to spill an inconvenient amount of milk on your floor.
To be fair, I did say that I have to run through them quickly and skip some and only read few because we didn't have much time.
That happens. We were limited. Sometimes we'll just sit here for hours going through super chats.
Yes.
But yeah.
And it might also be because of the username that I have skipped it. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because it's an evil, sick, horrible atheist username. Jesse says, Dwood, get the goat ready. The sound of a jihadi makes... Oh, the sound a jihadi makes in the grave when he finds out he's getting 72 versions of the Quran and not 72 virgins. Yeah, so guys, when you get to the grave and then you find out you're not getting 72 virgins, you're getting 72 versions, and then the jihadi makes a noise like this. And that's what you hear in the ground. That's what Mosab was listening for, and he's a little kid.
Alhamdulillah.
That should be reenacted. He needs to get like a kid and reenact that scene for him.
You know what? I was just looking for a cow that is like that goat. I actually found the goat that you have on the internet.
Oh, yeah?
And I was wondering if there's also a cow or some other animal, but there is none. It's a unique product. Very sad. Very sad.
By the way, wouldn't his story make a good movie?
Yes, there is actually there was an attempt to make in fact, there was a documentary at some point that was made about his book, but as far as I know, as far as I read, there was a more professionally done documentary planned in order to turn his book into a documentary that also features acting, like what do you call it?
I'd make it live action movie, man.
Yeah.
Live action movie. I mean, just think, just some of these scenes, like him going out, sitting in the grave, looking up, bodies being brought. I mean, all the violence around him, getting the crap beat out of him, all this stuff, and being in an Israeli jail and stuff like that. And
you see,
I'd go watch it. Get on it, Hollywood. You know who runs Hollywood, don't you? Rama?
Of course.
So in Islam, angels are bad. Why would angels torture or harm anyone? Torture and harming people for the things they've done is not bad in Islam.
It's good.
Yeah.
Torture is good.
Stomping on people. Stomp, 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 stomp. Get it right. Stomp, 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 stomp. Didn't pee right. This is what you get. This is what you get. You were told to squat to pee. You were told to wipe with an uneven number of stones, and you used an even number of sheets of toilet paper. Here's what you get. Stomp, 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 stomp.
Yes.
Mosab Hassan is making us ex-Muslims excited right now. His words are like music, wallahi. Is he ex-Muslim? What religion is he? Atheist, agnostic. He converted to Christianity, but he's not what most Christians would consider an Orthodox Christian. He believes what he calls it Christ consciousness or something like that. I'm not exactly sure what his beliefs are. He leans in the direction of Christianity, but not the full package of Christianity.
Yeah, I think he has some unorthodox Christian ideas, but he believes in Christianity in the sense of he believes in Jesus and following his morality and things like that. But he did during his time when he was, I think, when he was in university, which was, by the way, funded and supported by the Israeli security agency.
He talks about that in the interview.
He met this Christian group or these Christian guys with whom he hung out, and he became more and more interested and realized, wait a minute, this is nothing like the sick religion that I'm surrounded with all the time. So at some point he converted to Christianity, but then he moved to a different sense of Christianity. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Be interesting to hear him lay out what his current views are now. He touched on it a little bit in this interview, but yeah, they didn't go into a lot of detail as far as precisely what his beliefs are now. How would you react if your child asked you to take him to go lay down in a cemetery to try to listen to screams in the middle of the night?
I would say go by yourself. I don't care.
Yeah, go by yourself, coward. Oh, what are you, scared? Little crybaby? Crybaby. Go lay by yourself. Quit being a little baby. Get in there. Matter of fact, that's pretty standard in my family. Once anyone turns 6 in my family, you have to go lay down in a grave in the middle of the night to confront any fears of death.
That's amateur stuff. What we do is to go and find a grave and dig up a body.
Yeah, and then you have to lay down with the body like Muhammad did with his. With that woman.
Yes.
No, if my child for some reason started taking seriously the idea that people are being punished in the grave and you can hear them, I'd probably go, all right, let's go out and hang out in the graveyard at night, and we'll go ahead.
Yeah,
we'll go and see if this actually happens. Verse of the day, Ephesians 4:26 to 4:27. Indeed, powerful stuff. You can all check it out. If the trajectory continues, indeed. Try to get through these because we have a few more video clips. Mosab's Valentine's Day card. Are you a red cow? Because I choose you. Photo of Mosab looking super intense from Pierce Morgan debate. Are people making memes about that? That should be, because you have the red cow thing, and then him saying he chooses the cow. He will choose the cow. Free the world from Islam and Palestinian ideology. Yeah, be good. No wonder he looks so serious all the time. Yeah, when you're connecting it to how intense this guy is, I mean, he's wired a certain way, and you can never completely undo that, and so on. So all this stuff that he saw when he's growing up is in his head. Dwood has the screaming goat. AP, you need the mooing cow. Hey, see,
I think I saw that in the chat. That's why I started.
Oh, you need the mooing cow. Awesome as always, guys. Be proud of that. We are. Qatar or Qatar or Qatar. Qatar. I've heard it like 10 different ways. And other anti-Israel entities poured billions to various institutes in the West. The rotten fruits of that effort are plain for all to see today. Yeah, that is something you don't actually see. Like, these guys fund all this stuff, and then, I don't know, are there obligations associated with all that money? I done messed up, left 2 supers before the stream. Shame on you, Chloe, but I am going to need you to animate Allah traveling from the highest heaven down to the earth so we can hear people's prayers. The world needs to stop tolerating and appeasing evil Islamic imperialism. Being merciful to the cruel is being cruel to the merciful. Yeah, I would say that.
It is Qatar, by the way. Qatar.
I wanted to ask when the Arab leader went to hide and canoodle with Hitler. Is this when Hitler was introduced to the Arab Yellow Star for Jews? Yeah, I don't actually know about the timeline. I know that he ended up with the Nazis ended up with Muslims fighting for them and so on. But when is it? When was all that stuff taken? Was that early on or later? I'm guessing it was later, wasn't it?
It was around 1940. I have to look it up. I don't remember the timeline very well.
We should actually. That's actually something worth covering in a live stream, going through the history at some point. So yeah, that's a good point.
But it is a very important, very crucial thing that people downplay it when you bring it up. But Hitler had a genuine this is my guy attitude toward the Grand Mufti of Jerusalem, the Mufti Amin al-Husseini, who is the grandfather of Ryan Gosling. And he did say that he likes the guy, that he really sees something very, very, very good in him. And he did promise him that the Grand Mufti would become the leader of the Arabs once Hitler is done with the Jews, the communists, and the British, which was, of course, a megalomaniac idea. But Hitler did make that promise and did say, once we come down there, you will be the man in charge of the Arabs, and we will finish the Jews together.
And they were like, ooh, based.
Yeah.
Did you see the Columbia professor who was denied access to campus for calling Hamas a terrorist organization? Robert was telling me yesterday in This Week in Jihad that there was a professor who wasn't allowed, like he went to swipe his card because that's how you get access, and it wouldn't work anymore. He was Jewish. I don't know if you're talking about the same guy, or if it's because he called Hamas a terrorist organization. But yeah, that's pretty messed up. Humbled Clay. How would you structure a university course on scholarly Islamophobia or critical Islam scholarship? I want to drop verses and hadiths like you guys. I mean, if this is a college course, I would the interesting thing about what's in the Muslim sources, you don't have to be massively biased against it. You could just tell people what it actually teaches. You could be going through the basic history of Muhammad, 5 pillars, 6 articles of faith, and just go through his life and teachings. That's it. That's all you have to do. In other words, if you did a class in Islam, just like a Salafi Muslim would do a class on Islam, and you just stuck to that, it would be powerful against Islam. Moo Cow says, enjoyed the latest episode of you and Robert Spencer show. That's censored here for some reason. Scope it out, peeps. Subscribe and support. Wait, hang on. Moo Cow, where you at? Anyone know where Moo Cow is at? Let me make sure. Let me see if it's censored here. Let me see.
No, it's
here. No, it's available to me. So yes, sometimes shows get banned in certain areas. Like you get notifications from Pakistan all the time that your stuff's been banned in Pakistan. Get constant messages from YouTube. This has been banned in Pakistan. Mosab said in the past he wanted to make a Life of Muhammad movie based on Ibn Ishaq's biography too. Yeah, he's not the only one. And you can't do it because it would be too ruthlessly attacked. I have suggested doing it as Lego stop motion or claymation. And that way someone could do it, that way people could do it like in their basement. And you just have to do voices. The fly on the cow. That is true. Anyone against Islamic imperialism should be pro-Israel if they're not hypocrite or immoral. Palestinian ideology equals genocidal Islamic imperialism in Israel.
It is really as simple as this. Thank you knows too much. Thank you for this comment. Anyone against Islamic imperialism should be pro-Israel if they're not hypocrite, immoral. Palestinist ideology, genocidal Islamic imperialism in Israel. This is precisely how simple and how easy it is. And anyone who, up until this point, up until October 7th, was like, yeah, I am with you guys. Yeah, I'm against radical Islam. I'm against Islamism in the world. We should not be allowing that. But then when October 7th happened, turned around and was like, oh, I can't support you guys because Israel is bad. I support Hamas. I'm sorry, you have a problem. You have a problem. You have an ideological problem. You have a mental problem. You don't understand. You have an educational problem. You don't understand what is going on in the world. There is no excuse. Israel is currently on the front, fighting the very ideology which threatens to fight and subjugate the world. People like Daniel Gikichu, Mohammed Hijab, and the extremist of the extremists of the Islamists, they are all rooting for Hamas and for the Palestinian so-called movement, because to them this is a sign, to them this is a fight for Islamic dominance against the Jews and an Islamic prophesied fight. To them, this is their ultimate goal. They want Israel to be crushed in order to then unite the Muslim world and make Islam rise again from where they will not just stop and they will not say, okay, problem solved. Israel is now gone. Now we can all happily live in peace. No, the next goal, according to Hamas and according to all these Islamists, is once that happens, we will find unity and start the caliphate once again and get into a new imperial age for Islam and fight and no longer listen to the Western morality and all that. We will start invading the world. We will start fighting for Islam, openly adopting Sharia and encouraging Sharia, overthrowing different laws that don't follow and don't respect Allah. We will have slaves again and so on. This is what they want. This is what Hamas wants. Hamas made it very clear in their original documentation that they are for the destruction of Israel and the reestablishment of a caliphate. As recently as 5 years ago or 4 years ago, Hamas spokespeople openly said that their goal is to eradicate the Jews and to start a caliphate directly from Palestine, from Jerusalem. This is what's at stake. If you are against Islam, if you are smart enough wise enough to see that Islam is a major problem, a major threat, you should be supporting Israel right now. Stop with your stupid conspiracy theories. Stop with your nonsense, with your dumb ideas for what Israel is doing and how Israel is also bad. Support Israel. This is the moment.
Yeah, guys. So, short version takeaway. Even if you don't care at all about Jews, because we're sitting there thinking, seriously, you want these guys to take over? You want these guys to win against Israel? Do you have any clue what these guys are going to do to the people there, right? Even if you don't care at all about that, even if you just hate Jews, I don't care what they do to the Jews. I just want them to win because this is what's cool right now. This is what's cool to say on my college campus. Guys, Israel right now is a massive obstacle to these guys thinking that they're on the verge of taking over the entire world. First of all, we can't even deal with Israel. If they actually won and got their way, the point is they do not stop there. That would be massive encouragement. You see, Allah is with us. This is why we need to reform the caliphate right now and start conquering the world. And you've already seen how many of these people you got in the West, in Western nations, and how many people who will side with them if they're just told it's a cool thing to do. This is, guys, this is not a time to be stupid and idiotic.
Yes.
If you are stupid and idiotic at this time, you are going to cause a lot of people to get hurt in the future.
Yes.
Turkish donar versus shawarma in Israel.
Shawarma. Definitely.
Yeah, I don't know about the Turkish thing, so I'll have to go with AP on this one.
I like it. I do like it. But the shawarma was much better. I love it.
AP, when will you write sequel to Nabil's book, Seeking Moon on Barak, Finding Jesus, Road One into Jerusalem?
That's an interesting title. Whatever I do, I will certainly not go for such a title.
Why? It'll be powerful. Who's not gonna get that book? I'd get that. I would get 10 copies right now. You came out with the book title that the whole thing could be blank. I would buy that just for the title.
Okay. Then I will publish a book that will be blank and it will just have that title. Let's see what
powerful.
happens.
It'll be powerful. Couple illustrations mainly.
It just backfired.
Chloe says, "We'll happily edit or animate anything you need, Doctor, and so you shall. But this time, I'll be paying you. It is not a zabuba if the floor consents." It's not a zabuba if the floor consents. You see, that is how you differentiate between a zabuba and a zabiba.
Wow,
that's a good point. Now we have the distinction. If they were going to team up to finish off the Jews, did they think Hitler was al-Mahdi? No, these guys will just form any alliance they can at any time to get what they want, and then they will burn that alliance to the ground later on when it's no longer needed. And you could see this. You could see the alliances they form, like at the political left. They would gladly exterminate these guys in a heartbeat, but they'll form an alliance if it helps them get what they want in the moment. All right, so we got some more super chats, but let's go ahead and jump into this next video. Next clip. I think this is where he talks a little bit more about his childhood. So again, you had the clip that we started with, and then they go on to some other issues and stuff. And then they get back to Mosab's story. So again, we're leading up to why he chose the cow.
Let's go back to when you were 13. I want to pick up the thread of that story. Okay, so you're seeing all this catastrophe, chaos that you described.
What's wrong with you?
That sounds like the way a therapist, a psychologist talks to his patient.
It is.
Let's go back to when you were 13.
Yes, tell me more. Oh, you can see this throughout. Tell me more about your relationship with your father, eh? So he didn't get you any maple syrup. Well, I hear that all the time in my counseling sessions. People didn't get any maple syrup. Yeah. He never brought you to Tim Hortons, eh?
Redounds to the benefit of the con men who are running the show, for example, and that is there to delegitimize Israel and the United States, and to redound to the credit, let's say, of the Iranians operating in the background. You're seeing all the consequences of this firsthand. You decide that for a variety of complicated reasons, you decide that you're going to face your fear of death. You have this graveyard next. You're going there to investigate and to experiment. What was the consequence of doing that for you? And then
it's funny he's talking about it because it is, but he's talking about this as like an experiment, like this scientific experiment you performed. Which again, it is. It's, hey, if Islam is right, then this is what I'll observe. And so based on that hypothesis, let me go out and test the observations. And oopsie, it's not working out like that.
how does that tie in with your transformation of worldview over time?
When I was very young, and this is stuff I don't like to talk about because I choose not to be a victim. And so I don't like to become vulnerable because people think that you are weak. Stuff that I don't have to talk about, but I think there is no way around it. Because many people ask, what motivates you and where are you coming from? When I was very, very young, I was raped.
He's about to break down how messed up this culture is over there.
Yeah.
And he says, I think he says he was around 5 here in a minute, but we'll see.
In a culture that would kill the rapist, but also they would kill the rape victim. So I never told anybody about that story. I never got any support. And
How old were you?
I was 5 or 6 years old on that.
So he's 5 or 6 years old. This happens to him. And he couldn't tell anyone. He couldn't tell anyone because they associate the shame of that happening. They will want to kill you too, to do away with it so they don't have to deal with that. And he explains why here in a second.
Now, I had to heal on my own, and it was a hell of a journey in a society that did not have mercy, that they preferred that I would disappear so I don't bring shame on them.
Right.
And I witnessed so many women being killed after being raped.
So he said he was witnessing this. He's witnessing this, guys. This is all part. So keep in mind, he's already talked about. They tell him there's a punishment of the grave, so he goes to see if it's there, doesn't find it, and so on. But he sees the impact of everything that's going on in his area, and everyone just blaming the Jews and so on. And he's saying, but look, I mean, we're all killing each other and stuff, and it's us. We go in and we start this, we'll go over there and start flinging rocks, and then one of us gets shot, and so on. This endless supply of bodies and so on. But then you have this aspect.
That the father would prefer to kill his daughter to bury the shame with her, not to have to face the society that his daughter was raped. What type of mentality is this? What type of religion is this? And this is not just a culture. Okay.
Does it reflect on his inability to protect her? Is that the source of the shame?
It's his status.
It's his status.
It's the father of, he could not protect his daughter.
Yeah.
You get that? So if something happens to your daughter, or something happens to your son or whatever, if this were to become public, it's a shame on you, right? It's a shame on you. And that's why, in, places like Pakistan and stuff, they'll kill a girl for walking down the street on her own. It's a reflection on you and your ability to keep people completely under your control. If your daughter's out and is in a situation where that happens to her, that's you. That's your fault. So in order to avoid bringing this shame on yourself, if you find out something happened to your daughter, you get rid of her. You get rid of her so that this never becomes a shame upon you. This is where he grows up. And but unlike lots of his fellow Muslims in that society, he's actually processing all of this.
Yeah.
And now maybe the daughter is pregnant. This was before abortion, etc. Okay, the daughter is pregnant. What is he going to do with the child? No, he prefers to kill the daughter. He does not want to go even to the degree that his grandchild is a result of a rape incident. So
even the guy wouldn't even protect his daughter if she's pregnant in order to preserve the grandchild, who definitely didn't do anything in all of this. But the grandchild would be a reminder of his shame because he wasn't able to control his daughter enough to make this never happen.
And from the 7th century in Islam or in Arabia, they killed infants. So when I say sacrificing children, this is not coincidental. It's rooted in that culture. So for me, it was unjust that I had to actually carry the burden instead of getting the support from the family, from the society, like at least to come and say, who did it? Today I'm 45 years old, I'm a very strong man. I can confront the whole universe if necessary. And up to now, none of them asked the question, who did it?
Did you catch that, AP?
Yes.
So now he's actually been sharing this, that this happened to him when he was young. To this day, when he's 45 years old, not one person ever says who. No one cares. No one cares what happened to him.
And by the way, I had the power to kill the predator down the road. He's probably living in a nightmare why I didn't actually harm him, because later on I got lots of power even when I was back in the territory, but I chose not to.
Did you catch that? He said, I could have had this guy killed when I got older, given who my father was, and I got power. So one, when he got power as far as who his father was, but even, after that, even when he starts working with the IDF and so on, I could have gone back and taken this dude out. I didn't. And he's saying this guy must have been living in terrible fear, knowing what he did to him when he was a little kid, and then finding out this guy, all of a sudden got really powerful.
Instead of going after the rapist, I went after the belief system.
Oh, did you hear that? Oh, you guys, you're starting to catch it. You're starting to catch why he would choose the cow. He said it right here.
That is the wise approach, because it is the culture that is the actual rapist. It's not the rapist. It is the culture that is the rapist here.
Yeah, this is like higher level thinking here. So this guy did something to me. But my problem isn't just with him. It's with this whole system here where a guy like that can get away with it. And I can't even talk to anyone because it would bring shame and they would kill me too. And so my problem is not just with that guy, what that guy did, and I'm going to go get revenge on him. That doesn't solve the problem. That doesn't come close to solving the problem. It's an entire culture that's the problem. Why does this culture have this problem? Let me go after that. Let me go after that ideology. Interesting stuff. Here he goes.
And this is where I need to create the change.
I see.
So what's so-called Islam, I got lots of power even when I was back in the territory, but I chose not to. Instead of going after the rapist, I went after the belief system.
System.
And this is where I need to create the change.
I see.
So what's so-called Islam, and I know this is very sensitive topic. If the belief system, if Allah thinks that the rapist and the raped are equal and they deserve the same punishment, then this God does not have authority over my life. And this is where I start questioning the entire belief system, and I rebelled.
He rebelled, and they're mad at him for rebelling. Guys, you were part of culture. By the way, this same culture, this is what U.S. college students and U.K. college students and so on are cheering for. No, this culture needs to take over Israel and the rest of the world. It needs to take over the entire world. He's breaking it down for you, explaining exactly why He said, "Okay, any ideology that's producing these kind of results, I need to do. So, I need to confront it. And he's the bad guy. He's the evil one."
This is what I think about when I see these stupid protesters, many of whom don't even have a life, many of whom don't even they don't work. They seek an excuse um, to signal virtue and feel like they're doing something important, something that others care about. They often don't even know what they're caring about, what they're doing this for. But they are there fighting for a culture that is significantly more messed up than anything that they have seen and anything they have experienced in their lives. This culture is what these college students, what these leftist protesters, and so on, what they are fighting for, what they are defending. This is what they are standing up for. While they pretend to be against the backward values in the West, against Western traditionalism and conservatism and so on, they are standing up for something that is mentally 1,000 years behind conservatism and traditionalism in the West. That is actually a manifestation of complete barbarism, of savagery, of primitive, mindless, disgusting, animalistic thinking and behavior that has no sophistication, no love, no thinking at all. They're standing up for something so wicked, for something so sick, something so messed up that none of them would want to endure for a second if they were actually part of that culture. These people are retarded, and they are standing up for a complete retardation of culture and of values, of morals, and of everything there is. There is simply no other word. I'm sorry for saying it, but these people are completely and absolutely, beyond any possible explanation, retarded. That's what they are. Just like the culture is completely retarded in comparison with the culture you have in the West. This is just what it is. It is sick. It is. You can't fix it.
Now you're sounding like Garrett Wilders.
Let's talk about the whole thing. Let's talk about the honor culture aspect. Lots of people don't understand how this works. The whole shame thing. The whole we only talked about how parents would kill their own daughters or something like that if those daughters are raped. It's more than that. It's not just parents. It's not just the father. It is the entire family. In Muslim cultures, very often you have brothers, the brothers of girls, feeling such great shame over a mere rumor that their sister has been engaging in a love relationship with somebody, getting so angry and so unbearably angry that they actually go out and get a gun and kill their own sister. This is the culture. These are Muslim cultures, and Islam fuels this. In Islam, there is a concept, there is a thing called ghayra, which doesn't have a proper translation, but it's usually explained as something like jealousy on such a level that is a protective jealousy. And Muhammad encouraged this idea, this feeling, this concept that everyone should have ghayra, that even that he himself has it, and that Allah has it above all, which is why every human should have this feeling of ghayra for their women, which is why also there is a term in Islam, it's called dayuth, which is somebody who has no ghayra, somebody who has no protective jealousy for his wife or his daughter or his sister or whatever it is, somebody who allows his wife, daughter, sister, whatever, to go out and just speak to other men, and somebody like that who allows his female relatives and female family members to be corrupted by talking to other people or engaging in love relationships and things like that. Somebody like that is what Western people would describe as a cuck, and but it's much worse. It's not just a meme. It's not just an insult. It is so bad that according to Muhammad, Allah hates it, and Allah hates those who are like that, and Allah does not want to forgive those who are like that. And Muslims are taught that this is their culture, that they are supposed to actively protect and be jealous of their female family members, so much that I learned this too, and I had it in me, because you learn it as part of the culture. I had it in me that you feel this extremely messed up, sickening, twisted kind of protective jealousy toward I don't know, somebody you love, somebody who is your sister, somebody who is your wife, your daughter, your mother, whatever it is. That if any form of shame is brought upon them, such as a rumor, or in the worst case, a rape, or an extramarital or premarital relationship, this becomes an unbearable pain to people in this culture. And this unbearable pain often drives people so far that they either want to make it completely go away and therefore never seek justice, or they go ahead and kill their family member in question, because they think, I cannot possibly live with this shame. I cannot possibly live with this dishonor. This is how they feel. This is how they act. It is impossible to understand for somebody who's not part of an honor culture, but this is how that culture is. It is sickening. It is disgusting. It's absolutely ridiculously primitive.
With that said, we have breaking news. Russell Brand is being baptized on Sunday as a Christian. How's that make you feel, AP? Gonna shed a few tears? Gonna shed a few tears? Huh? Gonna call that barbaric culture? Huh? Gonna call Russell Brand out for joining barbaric culture here?
I think we talked about Russell Brand's motives before. So.
gonna talk a little bit about his motives there. Gonna shed a few atheist tears. Gonna cry.
I don't want to speculate.
Oh, has to attack him. Must just has to be some evil. Oh, he's being paid by Christians to cover up all these evil things. It's the Jews. Yeah, we heard it all before, AP.
I hope it doesn't end up like Kanye West.
Yeah, I know. And that's why I'll probably make a little video about this, but it will be, hey, great. Do not make him your hero until you've seen how you got to pay attention. You don't know how serious someone is until you start seeing them. Anyway, but yeah, take your warnings from Kanye. And I'm glad Christians are like, okay, you came up with a gospel album. That's cool. Apart from that, we'll wait and see how things turn out for you. Let's see. Uralic tribes. Okay, so we're gonna watch some more of Mosab. We'll take some super chats real quick, and then we'll jump into another clip, because we're gonna get to why he chose the cow. Why did he chose the cow? You are starting to see some reasons already. When Muslims can't win a debate, they call on a sheikh and tell him to shake, shake, shake. Shake, 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 shake. I don't know is this a song? Because I would think shake, shake, shake. Shake, shake, shake. Shake your booty. Hey, you need that to be your little theme song for your shake your booty clips, man. You kind of remake it. You got to make it different. Otherwise it'll be, but you just need shake, shake, shake. Shake, shake, shake.
You could use the same rhythm, the same music, just change up the lyrics, and it goes as it would pass as parody.
Yeah, it would. So. Hey, we got plenty of musical channels that can do that awesome stuff. Shake, 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 and then proceed to urinating upon one another. And then when they're told to get the hell out of here, that's how it works. That's pretty much Dawah in a nutshell. That's Islamic scholarship. Lars says, JP, after the interview, how about no? I choose the cow. and maple syrup and Tim Hortons. AP speaks German, the language Hitler spoke. Atheist. Dizzle speaks English, the language Eddie Van Halen speaks. Christian. Draw your own conclusions.
That's a good point. I didn't think about it from that aspect before.
Didn't Eddie Van Halen die? I think he
I
died.
don't know. I don't know anything about him.
What? You don't know the band Van Halen? Mosab definitely has...
He does, yeah.
This is true. Mosab definitely has PTSD. I have myself, partly due to Islamic terrorism. By the way, I'm Pakistani heritage. There's definitely ways to watch your videos there. Oh yeah, someone pointed out that what was it, Mooing Cow? I asked where he was from. That things were being blocked. People said Guam. He's in Guam. But yeah, guys, I think you can fix that stuff with a VPN.
Did you say Guam?
Guam. You got a problem with Guam?
I don't understand how something is blocked in Guam.
Yeah, I don't either. I mean, I don't know if it's still
Isn't that
there.
American territory?
Yeah, there's a big military base there. I mean, at least there was back in the day. I don't know if they've changed that since then, because sometimes they take bases out. I don't know. Dave, you seen the Australian government versus Elon on Bishop stabbing video? Yeah, I'm thinking we either want to do a live stream on that, or I just might make a video about that, because it's actually very important. You've got the Australian. I don't know if everyone's been following this, but you have the Australian government. They insisted that X, aka Twitter, take down the video footage of the attack on Bishop Mari Emmanuel. And so Twitter complied and took it down in Australia. If you're in Australia, it's been taken down. The Australian government said, no, we're insisting that you take it down throughout the entire world. And they're charging like $750,000 a day penalty for every day that the footage is still up. So there's this legal battle going on, and there's going to be lawsuits and so on. But guys, regardless of the issue, this is very disturbing. If a country decides we can have this blocked throughout the entire world if we demand it. Because I mean, I pointed out earlier, I get stuff blocked all the time from Pakistan. And when Pakistan says, hey, take this down in our country, YouTube or Twitter or whatever complies, and you get a notification saying your stuff's been blocked in that country. If Pakistan could suddenly say, this needs to be taken down throughout the entire world, that's really, really messed up. So Australia has to lose this one. And the monkey wrench in Australia's plans is that Bishop Mari Emmanuel posted an audio clip. He's still in the hospital recovering, but he posted an audio clip saying, I don't want this taken down. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? You can't control speech that way. So anyway, it's an interesting scenario. But isn't that interesting, AP, that it's always something that is going to enrage people about Islam? That's what has to be blocked. That's what has to be blocked. If it's going to enrage people about Islam, that has to be blocked. You have the entire country saying we need to shut this down throughout the world so that people can't see what happened to this bishop. Keep in mind, you're not talking about like graphic bloody. It's not like blood spattering all over that. I would get that, but yeah, it just walks up and he's kind of wailing on him and so on, and that's it. And they're saying that no one can see that. No one in the world should have the opportunity to see that.
Mm-hmm.
Very creepy.
Australia.
Dwood, how dare you call me an atheist? I'm a cross. I call a curse upon you as well. May your toe be stubbed and your floor milky. It's like Ali Dawah's threat. We're calling on the curse of Allah for you to get a disease, yeah? Oh, look, 3 years later, you got COVID, you see? One of my friends has protested against the genocide in Gaza. Feels bad. This is from Sheikh Mawini. Where did law not depicting Muhammad come from anyway? I'm not sure, because back in the day they used to. It's sort of a combination. It's sort of a combination of things. There's a prohibition against images in general, right? An angel will not enter a house that has a picture in it. But historically, there have been times when people did draw pictures of Muhammad and so on. The real issue is people use it for Muhammad cartoons to make fun of Muhammad. And then it just becomes this thing where, oh, but we forbid that in our religion and we'll kill and slaughter all the rest of you. Live stream needs excitement. Shake it up a bit. Yeah, we're going to shake it up a bit. We're going to watch some more Mosab Hassan Yousef. Bear Lamb, I'm coming out with a book myself. It's called Islamische Sitzpinkler. What's that mean? Islamische, what's Sitzpinkler? What's that mean?
It's a German term of
I've never heard Sitzpinkler.
For people who pee sitting, squatting.
Sitting. It's cool that people in different languages have words for something that, like in English, it would take multiple words.
Yeah, I don't. It was always funny to me or weird to me that people say things like that. But I heard that a lot in Germany. Like people making fun of somebody and calling him Sitzpinkler.
Yeah. Mohammed for ein Sitzpinkler. Ibn Khanzir Muhammad. Oh, got a pig graphic there. Uh-oh. Dwood, why did hijab go after your family? When? Are you talking about like back like years ago? Curious on the chain of events that led up to everything. God bless you and thank you for all you do. Great work to AP. Yeah, hijab got the AP. You're assuming he's talking about a few years ago when hijab went after everyone's families. As far as I can tell, this is just the guy who steps up and says, we're telling them to stop criticizing Muhammad and they won't. And then we threaten them with death and they still don't stop. So they kind of run through the various options of what to do mentally. Okay, we'll try this to make them stop. Okay, that's not working. Okay, we'll try this. That's not working. We'll try this. That's not working. And hijab gets the brilliant idea. Aha! If they're not scared of the death threats and they're not scared of this and they're not scared of that, we'll go after their families instead. And so we'll go after their wives. And he sends all his fans and gather pictures of everyone's wives and so on social media. Don't go after them. Go after their wives. Big tough guy. But this was all just an attempt at controlling what we're saying. Like we're going to be like, oh no, we can't keep criticizing Islam and Muhammad because these guys will start harassing our wives.
It actually started at that point with me. There was a thing going on between Mohammed Hijab and me where he challenged me to a debate, and I later reminded him of it and challenged him to that debate once again. Eventually, he agreed to debate me, and then he backed out of the debate by lying and saying, oh, it's not supposed to be online, it's supposed to be in person, although he previously agreed that it would be online. And when I called him out on it, he then started insulting me and started attacking my family. And then other ex-Muslims came in and were like, what is wrong with you? And then he started attacking them too, and their wives and family members. And then he just escalated on that, and he started attacking David and David's wife. It just continued like that. It escalated until we went live and we said, oh, you want to escalate? How about this? And we started ripping up the Quran, and then he stopped.
Yeah. So he thought everyone's going to back down, and we made it very clear. Hey, if you want to escalate, keep in mind, we are being nice. Given how much contempt we have for your ideology, we're being nice. We can escalate. We can. And that's where, we started ripping up the Quran and eating the Quran, and this eventually led to Quranagami and so on. And anyway, he backed down. He stopped because he realized this wasn't going the direction he thought. And so, guys, this is just an ongoing thing. These guys all want the same result. They all want you silenced. And they could do it in Pakistan. They could do that by forming a mob and killing you. Over here, they can't. So what do? They have to look for other ways of silencing critics. And so there's an obsession with silencing critics in Islam. And the person who figures out how to silence the critics, that person will be the hero of dawah forever. Hijab thought he was going to be that guy. What did he actually get? Now we do stuff like this to the Quran regularly. Hijab started this. I didn't do this before that. He started this stuff. He started this. He wanted it. Anyway, sometimes you get what you ask for.
That is true. We should remember that Mohammed Hijab is the one who basically triggered this whole this whole trend that we established of disrespecting the Quran.
Yeah, he also is the one who's responsible for Muhammad's boom boom room. All those episodes, he's responsible. He caused that. It's him doing something and us saying, "Oh, okay, you want to escalate? I'll escalate too. I can do that. Keep in mind, I love it. I love the fact that there's all this stuff that freaks out the Dawa community. I mean, they can't stand it. It messes them up mentally. And usually people in the West, including me, we don't do all the things we could do because we don't like to be as mean as possible all the time. But when you get someone like Hijab, I could dial it up. Well, so can we, sport. So can we. Difference is we can take it. You can't. We're good at dealing with criticism. You lose your mind. Why in the name of common sense would you guys want to be escalating when we can take the escalations way better than you can? Anyway, stupidity. There's stupidity. There's low hikmah. There's low hikmah in the Dawa community. Extremely low hikmah.
You have high hikmah.
Yep, you got to have the high hikmah.
Yeah.
Let's see. My brother's Jordan Palestinian, no more Palestinian state. Oh, Viva Bibi. Interesting. Law and Order SVU had an episode of a Muslim woman being raped in a hate attack, then being murdered by her family for being raped. Yeah, there were a couple episodes where they dealt with those kinds of issues. Would you guys believe a miserable man like Muhammad being the words of God or Jesus Christ, God himself? Would you guys believe a miserable man like Muhammad being the words of God or Jesus Christ, God himself? I would believe Jesus Christ is God himself before I would believe in Muhammad about anything. I have a response here. Jake Shields is the best example of...
Very, very much.
That guy has been hit in the head one too many times. Explains why.
You know what's ridiculous? He made a tweet yesterday or the day before. He started with this ridiculous, stupid idea, this theory that the Nazis weren't bad, and that the Nazis are maligned and misrepresented, and that the Nazis had, for example, no problem with black people, which I didn't take seriously.
I actually saw that. I actually saw that part. You were posting some stuff about what Hitler said.
Yes, and you know,
which for some reason you always just happen to have handy, right? Like, oh, you want to talk about Hitler? Let me show you what I got right here in my Hitler notebook. Mm-hmm.
You know, I have listened to everything from Hitler and read his book several times.
As the world's leading authority on the teachings of Adolf Hitler, can we confirm what Jake Shields said, AP?
So I know for a fact that this is complete nonsense. In fact, Hitler wrote in Mein Kampf, in his book, about black people in very derogatory and very insulting and very in ways where he expresses disgust that they exist in Europe.
That kind of happens when you are obsessed with your group being some sort of master race. You tend to look down upon other groups, unless you're Jake Shields, in which case this is your hero.
Yeah, and Jake Shields is like, oh no, they have no problem with black people. And then he actually makes a post in which he posts screenshots showing that he went to ChatGPT and asked ChatGPT, did the Nazis say anything bad about black people?
That's his research.
ChatGPT says, I cannot assist you with that because it is because he's asking for specific quotes, and ChatGPT for some reason says I can't assist you with that, which is very weird because I went to ChatGPT afterwards, tried it, and ChatGPT gave me direct quotes. I wanted to put that up too, but I just let it go. But he posts how he then argues with ChatGPT and says you're a liar. Which is just funny because the guy will not debate anyone, and then the only debate that he posts is with ChatGPT with an AI. Ridiculous person, man.
Yeah, and the light at the end of the tunnel here is, guess what? By the looks of things, looks like Israel's going to continue crushing Hamas until Hamas is gone. those stupid college students throwing bigger and bigger tantrums. There's a reason they're escalating. They're being programmed to escalate because the Dawa guys and all these keyboard jihadis stuff, they realize the writing's on the wall. Time is limited. Israel may have to deal with other things like Hezbollah and Iran and so on. Hamas is on the brink of being completely crushed permanently. They'll be gone, right? So what are these college students just going to protest permanently, or are they actually going to move on? Eventually, hopefully, eventually things die down. Hamas gets crushed. Things calm down. College students actually decide to be college students and not pawns in the jihadi game plan. What happens when all this dies down? Tweets last forever, ladies and gentlemen. And the guys like Jake Shields who become fans of Hitler during this time, later on, when they're no longer in the middle of this mob, they're no longer in this frenzy, they have to live with the results of that stuff. And that stuff's going to get brought up for the rest of the life. What's this guy going to do once he can no longer complain about Jews all day? He's going to have to do something else. And then everyone for the entire rest of the future, hey, what'd you say about Hitler? What'd you say about that? He was a great hero to you, right? You said it right here. Well, they're gonna have to live with these tweets. Anyway, stupid.
Very, very stupid.
Explains why Western leaders support Islam. Yes, it does.
Alhamdulillah.
Please keep exposing Islam and its hypocritical lies. Well, since you said so, Paolo, we will. No matter what these Abduls believe or do, even if they get their way, it is only temporary, as truth is the natural state of existence, and truth always wins in the end, even if it takes 1,000 years. We have Paolo
I don't know about that.
We have Paolo here saying mean things about Islam. We will not tolerate that on this channel, Paolo. Islam is just submission to God.
Yes.
That shame honor culture is real. My father disowned me 17 years ago because when I needed a father, because I didn't grow up to be who he wanted me to be. I'm grateful to have a heavenly father because my earthly father failed terribly. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what happens. Sorry to hear that, and glad you found something better.
Much like Russell Brand. Watch AP cry again. Thank you, Ridvan and David, for what you're doing. Notice the older AP gets, the more Turkish he looks.
What?
I still don't know what Turkish people look like.
Turkish people don't look like anything because Turkish people are just a mix of a bunch of different people who lived in that place.
They're mutts.
Which is why one of them is you can see a Turk that has blonde hair and blue eyes, and then see another Turk next to them who has very dark skin and black hair and brown eyes, and then you look to the other side and you see a Turk that looks nothing like either of those. There's no such thing.
Yep. We still got some more super chats, but we want to get back to more video because we have to find out. If nothing else happens, we need to find out why he chose the cow. Take this one real quick. Sakura says, why Jesus, who accepted his role of dying on a cross as God, say, Father, why have you forsaken me? Doesn't that seem like he's not wanting to really do it? Sakura, you have to read that verse and understand it like a first century Jew who's heard that his entire life would understand it. So what he actually said was, my God, why have you forsaken me? This was not him randomly calling out. He was quoting the first verse of Psalm 22. He quoted a psalm. He was quoting a psalm. And that psalm is about someone who looks like he's being crushed and punished by God, but who is ultimately vindicated. Everyone there had heard that their entire lives. So they knew what he was talking about. People come along 2,000 years later, they don't know what he's talking about. They say, oh, he's just screaming out, oh, why have you forsaken me? Paulo's posting all these funny lines. Mo Islam, mo problems. Instead of mo money, mo problems. All right, let's go ahead and check out the next video clip here. We went through the longer ones, but let's go ahead and check out Mosab here. We're going to get to him choosing the cow.
So you were hurt very badly when you were very young, and then you lived through the Intifada, and you were right beside the graveyard. And you decided that you're going to confront death relatively directly and overcome your fear of it. You were doing some religious experimentation really at the same time then. You said that you were testing out this hypothesis that there was torture in the grave. You did that alone because your friends wouldn't come along with you, which is like hardly surprising. So you said that you also decided with regards to being raped that the proper response to that wasn't to go after the person specifically who was responsible, but to go after something deeper than that, which was the belief system that gave rise to this problem.
Hey, I haven't checked to see how people are reacting to this, but I would imagine, based on how they respond, based on how they flip out, keep in mind, just when Laura Loomer said a couple of words on the Fresh and Fit podcast about that were critical of Islam, they lost their minds and declared war. I haven't checked the reactions, but I want to after we're done. I want to go look and see how they're responding, because this guy saying all this stuff on Jordan Peterson and Douglas Murray's show probably is a bit much for the Dawa guys.
All right, so now you're 13. Are these ideas already in your imagination? Like when do you start sorting? When was it that you started sorting this out?
Some of them were in the form of feelings, just a gut feeling. I did not have the mean to express them, but I knew them. It was not coincidental that I could not tell my own father about this situation, but later on I knew that my punishment is death. So today I have the power to express myself. I didn't know everything at that time, but believe it or not, I felt it. That this society cannot be trusted.
It's funny this leads up. This society cannot be trusted. Meanwhile, college students, I'll trust anything they say over there. I'll trust them all. The one person I won't trust is this guy who's actually criticizing it. He can't be trusted because he's criticizing this wonderful thing. My goodness.
And this is why today when I stand and I tell the world, anyone who identifies as a Muslim, I consider them as a threat.
This is what, and this does sound like, even to me, I was like, what are you talking about, man? Someone like Nabil, even when Nabil was a Muslim, he was, that was my best friend back in college. So it's weird to hear this thing. And like Nabil's parents, I would trust. Yeah, I disagreed with them. I didn't believe what they believed and so on. But there are all kinds of Muslims who are good people. So when he says things like this, a lot of people are like, whoa, you just can't trust them in general. But he actually explains it here.
I don't trust them. And people say, oh, you cannot generalize. This is like insane what you say. No, it's not insane. Because if their belief system has sentenced me to death many times for crimes that I haven't committed, then you pause as a Muslim, you carry that identity. How am I supposed to feel towards you? It's like coming to a Jewish refugee during the Nazi era and say, I am a Nazi, come with me, I'm not gonna hurt you.
You catching that? You catching this, AP?
That is a good point.
Yeah, he's saying so. So imagine, because guess what? You did have people among the Nazis who were just following orders, who had no special ill will towards Jews. And so, matter of fact, in that Adrian Brody movie about the guy who played the piano, that was a true story. He was actually saved by a Nazi officer who like brought him food and stuff like that. So you did have people who weren't on the side of that. But if you're a Jew and you're hiding something like this, and a guy just shows up, hi, I'm a Nazi, I'm here to help, you're not going to trust the guy. You're not going to trust the guy, and that's what he's getting to here. And he's addressing the point that, okay, even if you don't believe in killing me for being an apostate, or killing me because of this, or killing me because of that, if you're still identifying with the ideology that says I have to die because of all these, okay, I don't trust you. You're aiding and abetting an ideology. Even if you don't agree with me being killed, you're still defending and promoting an ideology which calls for my death. And so I don't trust you.
You know what's good? I'm looking at Jordan Peterson's channel at the moment, and looking at this video that of Mosab Hassan Yousef, and on average, it seems that it is doing better than lots of the content that he recently put out on his channel. So this is getting a lot of attention. This is very, very good. Lots of people will see this conversation.
Very, very good. Let's see.
This.
Let's see. Came out yesterday. Has 269,000 views. Looking through. Wow. The second comment that popped up was, can you imagine making the protesters sit down and watch this in its entirety?
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be interesting?
Yeah.
Taking the protesters saying, guys, let's all sit down here.
Yeah. The last video that has more views than this one, which was only posted yesterday, was posted 3 weeks ago. So this video is doing very well.
Yeah, and that's good.
Glad to see
that's good. All right, back to Mosab here.
No, you're taking the identity of a Nazi regime. And whether you are the bad cop or the good cop, it doesn't matter. You are serving the same establishment. And I'm tired of this moderate versus extremist. Every individual has the responsibility to know what they are identifying with.
And that's important too. So there it's, okay, I'm under a death sentence here. And you're saying, well, I don't believe that, but I'm devout Muslim and I support Islam. And he's saying, okay, it's your responsibility. It's your responsibility to know what you're defending. That's your responsibility. So you being ignorant does not mean that your ideology is okay.
Mm-hmm.
My individuality is above all religions and above all gods. I don't accept to just take a label for myself, not knowing what I'm getting myself involved into, because only my parents pushed that religious identity on me. And if I am at that level of consciousness, then how can I trust you with anything? I cannot trust you with my woman. I cannot trust you with my property. I cannot trust you with my money. I cannot trust you being even close to me.
What?
I love this guy, man. I love this guy.
I thought you were about to be, gosh, that's too much even for me. You're like, I love this guy.
No,
Awesome.
no, I love this guy because he's so raw, so direct, and he has a very, very refreshing honesty that you very rarely see from people. Mm-hmm. And lots of people in outside the culture, in Western culture, probably don't feel as passionate about things as this guy does. But he speaks and he gets very passionate and he says whatever he actually feels and whatever is on his mind. And somebody who has nothing smart to say and nothing good to say could do that kind of stuff. But this guy is smart. He has seen things. He knows things. He understands things. And he is very passionate about it. I don't know. I loved the first thing that I heard from him. I loved the guy's book. I love whenever he goes somewhere. I hope he gets more and more audience. It's very good.
Yeah, and it's really interesting in that he breaks down what got him to this point. And again, I'll say it again here, ladies and gentlemen, there's a lot more in the actual interview. I encourage everyone to watch it in detail and probably watch it a couple times. It's really, really good stuff in there. But when he breaks down everything that led up to this moment, it's just this amazing contrast between him going through all this stuff, seeing all this stuff firsthand, seeing what Hamas is from the inside, seeing what Islam is from the inside, and then saying, my goodness, I have to deal with this. And then moron college students, death to Israel from the river to the sea. There! Like world of difference. The other thing I find interesting in all this is this has happened at various times through history where you get like the whole world on one side with evil, and it's a few individuals who are holding the line against it. Like, because there's not a lot of these guys, right? There's not a lot. There's exactly one. There's one, Mosab Hassan Yousef, and there's a couple other guys. There's like Douglas Murray over here, and this guy over here, and this guy over there, and it's these guys standing up against whatever comes at them. So anyway, pretty cool guy.
Alhamdulillah.
We'll keep him around. We'll keep him around for a while.
Because you don't qualify, you don't know your individuality. You are unpredictable. You can be friendly now, but 5 minutes later you can be a part of a crowd and you are going to show me your tasks.
Did you catch that? That's the other thing. And guys, he's absolutely correct here. You can be a nice. You could be. This is not just true of Muslims. This is true. This is true of all kinds of people. You change once you are in a mob or something like that. Your behavior changes. People get riled up and their behavior changes. And so he's pointing out here, hey, you can be the nicest person in the world. I don't. When the tide changes and a mob forms and people are enraged about something, how do you act then? Will you be on the side of people who want to kill and slaughter me? Will you be on that side? I don't know until I see you. In other words, if you come up to me and you're the nicest person in the world, I do not know how you're going to interact or what you're going to do as a result of your ideology until I see the mob forming. Then I'll know you. And until then, I don't know if you're going to not side with the mob, because you have all sorts of perfectly nice people. They go to school in the West, they go to college and stuff like this, and all of a sudden, no, death to Israel, destroy them all, burn this place to the ground.
Might bite me. So then I have a problem. Okay,
what do you make of the moves on the part of countries like the UAE and the other countries that are involved in the Abraham Accords, let's say, because that it looks to me like that's a pathway forward, much different than the pathway laid out in Iran, that holds out the possibility of something like a rapprochement between, let's say, Christianity, Judaism, and Islam. Do you see any hope on that side of things?
Yes.
That's good. He's not ruling out improvements in the world. So he's good. And by the way, guys, I would like to see that too. I'd like to see Muslim nations getting along with Israel. That's good. Doesn't change. It doesn't change what he said, but that would be cool.
With the statement that I made, this is my fundamental stand. I don't compromise this truth. And I don't respect anyone who identify themselves as a Muslim in principle. Because why? Okay, but this is my fundamental stand because I aim to reform.
And keep in mind, he does clarify. I forget whether I'm going to say it here just in case he doesn't include it. I don't remember if I included this in the clips. He talks about different kinds of Muslims. He's like saying, I don't have a problem with Shias and stuff like that. So he's talking about basically if you are on the side of the Islam that calls for his death, then he's just got a problem with you. It doesn't matter if you don't believe. If you are siding with that, even if you are ignorant or you've reinterpreted some things, he's got a problem. He's got a problem with you.
A generation. I need people to get out of their cave of delusion and think for themselves. Like, for example, I don't have a problem with the Sufis.
Oh, yeah, here it is.
And I don't have a problem, actually, with Muslims who don't pose as Muslims. They don't have to bring their religious identity as they are entitled to something. They want to intimidate me or maybe tempt me with something. Sincere, devotional people don't need a religious identity at all. And those exist in the Arab and the Muslim world. If we want to integrate to a higher state of consciousness, then we need to drop this political correctness. What's the difference? It's the same thing. It's the same game.
Yeah.
You know, I was born in that
That's
belief.
why they end up on the same side.
And I was born in that belief, like at least when it comes to me.
Before that, Jordan Peterson was talking about how all these different groups end up on the same side.
Uh-huh.
The communists and everyone else, they all end up on the same side of an issue.
I don't have the right to criticize my own belief system. And if I do, it becomes hateful speech. Who says this?
This
is like birthright
sorry.
to rebel and to criticize. This is what makes us superior to animals.
Yeah, I love that point. Right, like I'm born in this. I've been through all this stuff, and I don't have the right to criticize it. Me, the guy who's seen all this stuff, I don't have a right to criticize this, or it's hate speech. Are you crazy? That's good.
This is something very important because in the West, there is, especially with social media, with the rise of Western social media, there is this whole idea of, oh, let's be sensitive, let's not talk, let's not say very insensitive things about certain topics. And by the way, we decide what is and is not sensitive. So there is this whole thing of you always have to walk on eggshells when you talk about certain topics. Can't say what you really think. There are, however, things that we really have to say, especially when it comes to stuff like Muslim culture, Islamic culture. People who come from that culture can often speak directly from within that culture, from a point where they understand this culture and need to tell everyone else things about that culture. But we are told to be quiet and to be careful about how we speak. I don't agree with everything that Mosab Hassan Yousef says and feels, but he should be openly, he should be available to say all of these things, no matter how problematic they sound to people. The guy talks about things that people need to hear. We shouldn't be worried about political correctness and the backlash and this and that. It is ridiculous. It prevents us from actually talking about real threats.
Yeah, and I think good old Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson should be sitting down with Mosab here.
Yes, instead of
and getting his perspective on things. Share his views with your viewers. Might be important. All right, guys. So there's we've been through 3 of the clips. We got one more clip, and that's where he explains why he chooses the cow. Everyone needs to understand why he chooses the cow. All right, do a couple super chats here. Mosab is incredible. You guys should have a chat. Well, I don't think it's too easy, and I mean, I kind of like it if he's just going around being interviewed on these really big shows. I think that's cool. I think he should do exactly what he's doing, and I think all the other big shows, everyone. I don't know exactly whose shows he's been on. I know a few of them, but Ben Shapiro should have this guy on. Tucker and Candace, if they want to ever regain any credibility, given the things they've done over the past several months, then they should have him on. And
pretty sure that would go against their donors, and that's why they wouldn't do that.
That's true. But I mean, guys, he should be regularly on all kinds of news networks and stations. Every one of the big shows should be interviewing this guy.
Yes.
Dihya Al-Kalbi loves both of you and would like to stop by and say hi. How about no? I don't buy your Dihya. Meredith says, is it normal to pay an opponent to debate, as Mosab had to do with Mark Lamont Hill? Saw some debate on H's YouTube. Comments were horrible, ignorant, made fun of Muhammad's suit, his Christian belief, no respect for cultural experience. No, so sometimes people only agree to debate if they're being paid, because there's a lot of work that goes into a debate. So some people, if put it this way, if you want Richard Dawkins to debate, you're going to have to pay him. There are some people where I'm not debating if I'm not going to spend weeks of preparation or something like that debating if I'm not being funded for it. So there are people who are like that.
You see, David said he only will debate if he gets money.
No, I'll debate anyone, anytime, any place. Dwood. I'm just kidding. There are all sorts of people I have no interest in debating, namely random people on, especially people who show up. David, why are you running from me? And it's someone I've never heard of in my life. It's like, not interested, dude. Dwood, Lauren Southern did a video 5 hours ago talking about the Australian censorship. Yeah, I'll probably be. I don't know if I'll be checking that out, but I do want to talk about that at some point, because that's huge. And I seriously don't know what Australia is even thinking because the result, if they are successful, it's a situation where here's what I want. And if you're successful, it's pretty bad for the entire world. If a country gets to decide if one country in particular, especially a country that is populated entirely by criminals, they get to decide what the rest of the world is allowed to see. That's a huge issue. If they actually won that one, that would be very, very bad. If Australia gets to decide what the entire world is allowed to see, we're going to be doing nothing but watching Crocodile Dundee 2 for the rest of our lives, all day, every day. Is that the world you want? Not Crocodile Dundee 1, Crocodile Dundee 2, all day, every day. That's what they're going to do.
By the way, I have to disappoint you, David. Australia is not an individual, so Australia is certainly not thinking anything.
That's true. Australia is... It's like the Borg, but with criminals.
Nice.
Hey, just for fun, what dating advice would you give to us singles? How does destroying Islam lead us to destroy being single? Well, I'll go ahead and say this. If you start wrecking Islam, you become stronger and more powerful and more of a total alpha Chad and so on. And the babes just can't stay away. They just can't resist some strong guy crushing Islam. What?
Sure, yeah.
It's
Great
true.
advice.
It's true. Like, ooh, look at him. He's so strong and manly crushing Islam.
Can I touch your muscles? You destroy Islam.
Dwood, the Shake songs from Metro Station. Shake It. I'm going to check out the song. I'm not going to check it out right here. I'm going to jot it down because I'm going to listen to it afterwards to see if it can be put to any use in the future. Metro Station, Shake It. I will check that out to see if it can be used for purposes of our anti-Dawa. Dawagandists never learned to not feed the trolls. That is true.
That's true.
Does Quran 2:106 abrogate all peaceful verses or just 120 peaceful verses for violent ones? No, 2:106 just lays out the principle. And 2:106 was revealed because the unbelievers started noticing that Muhammad kept changing his revelation. So one day he tells his followers to do one thing, and then 2 weeks later he'll tell them to do something else. And they started making fun of Muslims. Guys, you just believe like he keeps changing his revelations. You keep thinking these like what? These are the eternal Quran. What is this? It doesn't make any sense. That's when Surah 2 verse 106 was revealed that Allah can abrogate a verse and then replace it with something better. But the Quran doesn't tell you which verses are abrogated and not abrogated. You have to go to the historical sources, find out what came last, and so on, and then check the commentaries. Which by the way makes it a more dangerous system, where you, as a person reading the Quran, can't tell what applies and what doesn't apply. You have to wait for the sheikhs and scholars to make that ruling, and that can be pretty bloody.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
Jake, for sure, suffers from CTE and chicken to debate. Yeah, that's true. He suffers from two things, that and cowardice.
He thinks that he thinks the Jews are responsible for his brain damage. Like that is one of the things that he runs with. And it's just ridiculous. Like, how can you believe that?
Yeah. How much would the fall of Hamas damage Islam? It's not that it would damage Islam. Islam is huge. You got almost 2 billion Muslims in the world and so on. As far as like crushing their confidence, that's why they're flipping out so much. They understand, wait a minute, if there's 2 billion of us and we've been talking and our scholars are even talking about how we're gonna crush Israel and from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. And then, Hamas really did something here. If Hamas loses and gets crushed and all the whining and tantrums in the world can't stop it, you have to start wondering if Allah's really on your side and he's got your back.
And you will find out, of course, he is. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, they are going to take this really hard. Once Israel finishes going through there, and if they successfully destroy Hamas, and all these guys realize nothing, all the whining, all the shows we went on, all that stuff, all the protest, millions of people around the world protesting. If none of that stopped Israel from crushing Hamas, we got problems.
Yes.
That's part of the reason you want Hamas to be crushed. Every dog Muhammad saw reminded him of Dia after he dumped it. So they had them all killed. When he hears who let the dogs out, he thinks of Dia. That'll be funny to put those sources together about Dia being over Muhammad's house and stuff, and then tying that in with why he wanted all dogs to be killed.
And then you can finish it with Muhammad dying, and then you could add the Trump clip. It says, he died like a dog.
Yep. Thoughts on the Nation of Islam? Pretty stupid stuff, I'd say. It's a weird offshoot of Islam that claims to be Islam, even though they're heretical according to Islam. And so it's just a racist offshoot.
The real gangsters.
How dare you compare my curses to Ali D? I call curse upon Bassam Yousef just because he's a douche. We don't need any. Bassam is awesome. No, we should go through some of his clips because apparently he's been getting wrecked recently.
I can't stand it. I can't stand listening to that guy.
My heart. I don't know. I liked him the first time I saw him. He was hilarious, but apparently it's he used all of his genuine hilariousness. My heart broke when I heard about Mosab talk about his childhood. Yeah, and that's crazy. See, and that's what you do, all this damage to people. And some of them are just broken by it, but they stay in line the rest of their lives. And some of them go against it, but they're enraged about it because of everything they've been through. And so that's what you're getting with Mosab. David always has quotes of Jesus on hand. Christian AP always has quotes of Hitler on hand. Atheist, draw your own conclusions. People really do spot the obvious in all this. People do spot it. I'd love to see Mosab and Yousef Haddad on the lives. I don't think Mosab will happen, but Yousef Haddad might jump on at some point. What do you think?
On the lives, I think both of them could jump on at some point. They're both very intense people.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Imagine those guys doing some shows together. That'd be powerful. Why is Mosab resonating in a way Walid Shubat didn't? When I see him, I think of the songs "Pray and Do Not Pass Me By." Do you remember that song? No. Do you remember who sang that? No, I don't remember that. I don't remember that.
Nope.
That song.
Nope. I don't remember. I don't remember if such a song even exists.
Yeah, I'm not sure why Mosab is resonating more so than Walid Shubat did back in the day. Don't know.
He's just, I don't know. He has something about him that is very interesting. Mm-hmm. I think what really contributes to him being so likable is the raw honesty, the refreshing honesty.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Meredith says, my ex post that probably no one saw. Colombia, you might consider that Robespierre and many other, so this is during the French Revolution, you might consider that Robespierre and many other members of the Committee of Public Safety ended up under the guillotine. You are on dangerous ground. # Reign of Terror. Yeah, you guys, it's the same story over. Matter of fact, I want to make a video just on this one topic of people having these ideas in their head and thinking, because this idea works in my head, therefore I can go out and implement this idea in society and it's going to work out. No, bunch of people are going to die because this stupid idea in your head that you think because it works in your head, therefore it's going to work in the world, happens over and over and over again. And people and millions of people die and suffer because of these stupid ideas in stupid people's heads.
There is a repeated trend in history where those who claim to be standing up for oppression and who then become strong enough to overpower those whom they consider oppressors end up being oppressors themselves violently. So,
Carol B says, I can imagine that JP thought this was the most interesting interview of his psychiatric career. Yeah, it would, because he's not just interviewing someone on his ideas. He's interviewing some guy that, I mean, he's clearly thinking, what is this guy's background that led up to this? And he's getting those details. So it's like a combination of probably the same sort of interview Jordan Peterson would have with someone if he was like, analyzing him. But it's combined with getting all this information about a very relevant issue. So this might be this would be pretty high up there on his list of interviews. But speaking of the interview, let's go ahead and watch the last clip that I have.
I think
and,
he probably thinks, Jordan Peterson probably thinks, well, I don't know at the moment. I'm not sure if I'm more impressed with Mosab Hassan Yousef or Mohammed Hijab. That's probably what he's
yeah. Can you imagine? that would be the ultimate question for Jordan Peterson. So, Jordan, you've interviewed the Dawa guy of all Dawa guys, Mohammed Hijab, and you've interviewed Mosab. If you had to choose, who makes the best case, who'd you go with? And that's the issue before Mosab, and we're about to see why he chose the cow.
After October 7, what I saw, and this is why I went outrageous, and I really told the Arab world, listen, if it comes down to choose between the entire Muslim population and a cow, I choose a cow. Like
he just blurted this out in the middle of the interview. I choose the cow. What's wrong with this guy? Anyway, here.
At least the cow is very peaceful.
Okay, let me go back. He said at least
I
the
choose
cow's
a cow. Like at least the cow is very peaceful. It gives us milk. It gives us leather. It gives us meat. It's very peaceful. It's harmless.
It gives us the ribeye. It gives us the porterhouse.
But you, what's your contribution? And now we have this global crisis where a minority, religious minority, being persecuted, suffering ethnic cleansing on October 7, and instead of siding with truth to say that this does not represent us as a Muslim world, instead they have been weaponizing their religious identity against this religious minority that is most creative with the greatest contribution to life.
You catch that? That was
yes.
That was good stuff there. He's explaining. So, guys, he's explaining his why I chose the cow statement, and he says you have Israel being attacked by people who want to completely ethnically cleanse the area. They want to completely wipe out the Jews. And then I look at the rest of the world. Who does the rest of the Muslim population side with? Again, there are exceptions and stuff, but he sees massive support for the people who want to exterminate them.
Yes.
And he's saying, wait a minute, you've got this they are an actual tiny religious minority. They're a tiny religious minority in the world. And you guys want to wipe them out when they actually benefit humanity. And you want to completely exterminate them. And he's saying, I choose the cow. If I have to choose between you guys supporting this stuff and a cow, I go with the cow. So that's his rationale for the I choose the cow comment.
And he uses the right word. I mean, he should actually go further. I heard him say
what's up with you always saying everyone needs to go further? Oh yes, they're completely just bombing Gaza down to nothing, but they're not going far enough because I'm the Apostate Prophet. They're not going far enough. Neither is Mosab. He's saying if he has to choose between 1.6 billion and a cow, he would choose the cow. He's not going far enough. He's not going far enough.
I don't mean that. I mean when he describes what happened on October 7th, for example, he used the word genocide in that before. He said October 7 is a genocide. October 7 was a genocide. It was an attempted genocide against Jewish people, against the people of Israel. This should be said more often. He should bring this. He should bring it back. He should make it popular. He should publicize. He should make it widespread to refer to the actions of October 7 as a genocide against Jews, because that's really what Hamas was going for. Hamas was going for eradicating as many Jews as possible and destroying Jews as a people. Getting rid of the Jews, ridding Palestine of the filth of the Jews, in the words of a Hamas spokesperson. So this was their actual goal. Their actual goal was genocide. And now that they didn't succeed, and Israel Israel finally said, "Okay, we are done. We're going to destroy you." Now people are saying, oh, Israel is committing genocide, Israel is committing ethnic cleansing, and nobody actually has any grounds to claim that Israel is committing a genocide. They are all simply relying on this supposedly so-called Palestinian collective playing the victim and appealing to people's feelings and saying, we are experiencing a genocide. This is why so many people in the world are coming together and accusing Israel of a genocide. Israel has not committed a genocide against anybody. Israel has not intended to commit a genocide against anybody. On the other hand, Hamas has explicitly voiced their desire and their intention to commit a genocide against the Jews. And those who intend to commit the genocide, once they are crushed, should not be the ones who complain about being crushed and about being genocided. That's not how it should work. Yes, they attempted a genocide against Jews, and they should be dealt with permanently, so that no single person in the region who has the same mindset can ever again have the power to attempt to do something of that sort.
Yeah, think about how common this is. It's just built into Islam somehow. I'm trying to think of something else that's like this, where they constantly start things, and then when the world responds, we're the victims here. I mean, we were talking about, people asked about Muhammad Hijab earlier, about Muhammad Hijab and that whole situation. Guys, he's the one who announces he's going after people's wives, right? There was a bunch of people. It was Abdullah Samir and others. He's just, hey, who cares about the guys? Go after their wives instead. And then when we finally say, oh, we'll eat your Quran if you do that, and then he stops, then what did they do? They took clips of that, and then they run around, look what they're doing, they're persecuting us. Oh my goodness. Why do we do any of that stuff? Because of your decisions. Look at the Crusades. Look at the Crusades. For years, they've been, oh, look what the Christians did during the Crusade. Did Christians wake up one day and decide to go attack? No. You started taking over all sorts of places, went all the way across northern Africa and stuff like that, and then you start attacking Europe and stuff, and they respond. And then you do things like level the Church of the Holy Sepulchre and stuff like that. You're doing that. You do that for years, and finally they responded, oh, we're being persecuted. You see how everyone is attacking us over and over and over again. Go out and start it, and then when the world finally says, no, we're not letting you get away with this, we're responding, oh, they're all coming after us. Oh no, we're here to exterminate all the Jews. Okay, well, the Jews are fighting back. Oh my goodness, it's a genocide. They're genociding us by going after the group that says they're going to exterminate them. Bunch of babies, man. Biggest sniveling crybaby ideology in history.
Cry bullies.
Right. Dangerous, entitled victims fit right in at a USA university. Absolutely. It's the perfect fit. The lady on the bullhorn at Starbucks is the same baboon from Dr. Phil. They hear nothing. Oh, that's interesting. Is that the same? Because we were wondering why Dr. Phil had those girls on there. Pam here is saying it's the same. This lady's in some other video where she's on the bullhorn at Starbucks. Powerful. And guys, that's all part of it, right? Muhammad Hijab. Guys, this is all connected. Muhammad Hijab. Why did he go after people's? Because he's obsessed with controlling everyone else. He has to control it. Islam just convinces these people that they're in control of the entire world, and anyone who stops them from being in control of the entire world is evil for stopping them from being in control of the entire world. But notice that's him, and then you have students around these college students and so on. We have to control what everyone is allowed to say, what everyone is allowed to think. We have to control all this. We have to control what they're allowed to, what coffee they're allowed to drink. We have to control every little detail of everyone else. And guys, what basis do we as non-Muslims have for thinking that you guys would do a bang-up job at controlling the world? Turn your own countries into Sharia-compliant hellholes. Then you say, oh, okay, well, we can't live here in these Sharia-compliant hellholes that our religion has made. Can we come to your nations? Yeah. Okay, what? Yeah, cool. Now, yeah, come on over. Now, what are you doing? Oh, we're going to burn this place to the ground unless you do everything we want. We want Sharia. What possible basis do you have for thinking that you should be in control of the world? Just your religion. Your religion tells you this. Okay, then your religion is stupid. It's stupid if it makes you think that you should have control over the rest of us. Pretty simple. What's up?
I see the video now. I see the video. It's the same woman. Yeah. The same woman actually is on video, on camera, walking into a Starbucks with a bullhorn and screaming, shouting, "Starbucks, Starbucks, you can't hide till we free Palestine." What do these idiots, these imbeciles think they're going to achieve by walking into a Starbucks and shouting slogans? The people that are working at Starbucks are not in charge of of what Starbucks corporate does, of what they support, of what they don't support. Plus, also, by the way, very seriously, if you include Starbucks in your protests and you go to a Starbucks and you boycott Starbucks as a pro-Palestine statement, as a pro-Palestine or anti-Israel statement, that is a perfect example that you are either supporting terrorism or you are completely ignorant and have no idea what you're doing. Because people are going around saying, Starbucks supports Israel, shame on Starbucks, Starbucks opposed resistance. What Starbucks actually did was on October 7, when a Starbucks workers union posted a screenshot of October 7 and said, "We stand with the people of Palestine," Starbucks sued the union and said, "Take it down. This misrepresents and damages and harms our brand because you are celebrating October 7, where many atrocities against civilians took place." They never made a statement. Starbucks never made a statement saying you can't say we stand with Palestine or you can't say free Palestine. They never did any of that stuff. They just opposed that post. Whereafter Starbucks was then labeled as this pro-Zionist, genocidal, anti-Palestinian corporation. So when people now blame Starbucks and attack Starbucks, they are either attacking them because they refused to tolerate the celebration of the horrible acts of October 7, or because they don't know why exactly they are protesting. This is a perfect example. These people are terrorist sympathizers, or they are stupid and ignorant.
And this goes back to what we're saying. You cannot let them win, right? The takeaway at the end of this, for potential jihadis of the future, you want the takeaway message to be, if we go and slaughter a bunch of people, there is nowhere to hide. We will be found. We will be hunted down, found. That's the takeaway message you want for them. For all these morons, Starbucks, you want the takeaway message for them to be, you can cry all day long, you can run around on your bullhorn, whining all day long. You are not getting your way by throwing tantrums. If you're not right, you're not getting your way. You're not going to have you're not going to have a stupid idea and get your way by screaming and crying and harassing everyone until they agree with you. Not going to happen.
But it's genocide if you don't listen to me.
Mm-hmm. Daughter of the Most High said, "I feel the same. We Christians need to be more outspoken and not afraid to speak truth, however harsh it comes across. That's what being salt is all about. Brood of vipers, lol." Talk about when Jesus called people brood of vipers. You snakes. John the Baptist, too. Gaza is full of trans people. Lots of terrorists identified as women and children post-mortem. God bless you guys and keep up the good work.
Man. That's funny because that could be a joke on two levels, which is that Gaza is, of course, not full of trans people, because they would kill you there, literally. And secondly, the twisting of numbers and saying, "Oh, they were Israel killed a child or Israel killed a woman." That's, of course, another aspect of it.
Yeah, guys, can you imagine? Because you've got the Queers for Palestine, you got all this LGBTQ support, and people always say, "Oh, but you couldn't do that over there." But here you heard it firsthand. Listen to what Mosab said about his culture, where if a guy's daughter is raped, he'll want her killed. He'll kill her just to avoid the shame on him and his family. What do you think would happen if his son came out and said, I'm a girl now? What do you think would happen in that culture? This is what you're supporting? This is the culture you want to spread out through the entire world? LGBTQ people? Huh?
Mm-hmm. Of course.
The next Zakir Nike says, Andrew Tate called you and AP out and responded to Mike Winger. I posted the 2 videos on X. Lol. He used this little nerd right here. This little nerd.
I saw it.
Yeah, he made these clips using AI. It is creepy how now you can do AI and you can just say, have Andrew Tate say this, and it actually sounds real.
It does sound pretty real. Yeah.
That's wild stuff. No, I mean, and this stuff is just kind of just getting started. Imagine what it's going to be like 30 years from now. You're not going to, anyone who wants to accuse anyone of anything is going to be able to do it. Look, here's video. Here's video of AP slaughtering 1 million babies. It's right here. Got it. And you'll have it. You'll have the video. And
they're going to find a solution for that.
And you will get it. You will get it by saying, hey, AI, make a video of AP slaughtering 1 million babies.
They're going to find a simple solution for that, where you will be able to code, track, or somehow otherwise verify any kind of information.
Nope. And then people will improve it, and it will be unbreakable.
No.
Christians and non-Christians alike need to make their mind up now that if Islam continues, if the trajectory continues as it has been, not to bow no matter the cost. That is a good rule. Never back down. Never retreat. Never surrender. Great movie. Sakura says, even if there was blood in the Bishop video, the left is okay showing graphic photos of Gazan kids or George Floyd's death. They won't censor that. That's true. I see the images pop up. Tons of channels daily of bloody graphic images of, dead people, dead kids, and so on. And at most, they put a content warning. That's very different from saying that content can't be on there at all. And that's what's disturbing about the Australian censorship. It's, hey, you could post all these images of all these dead kids to rile people up to get them to go kill Jews. But you can't post this clip of a Christian bishop being attacked because why? Because why? Why is that? Why is that where you draw the line? Because you're obsessed with defending Islam from criticism. You're obsessed. That's pathetic.
George Floyd. Yep.
The commentator before me was wrong. I don't know which commentator you're talking about, but yes, probably wrong. How do you abrogate something that eternally exists? Yeah, that is a side issue. So, if you say, hey, this verse, Allah revealed this verse, and then he revealed this verse, and that one abrogates that one, you can kind of make sense of that, especially when you're saying, okay, well, he's got a changing community, so as things change, the rules might change and so on. But you've got the eternal Quran, and in the eternal Quran, you'll have a command that the penalty for sexual sin is house arrest, and you'll have in the eternal Quran that the penalty for sexual sin is 100 lashes, and you'll have that the penalty for sexual sin in the Hadith is stoning, and so you'll have all of these things. But the verses in the Quran, those are supposedly Allah's eternal revelations, and in addition to those commands, both giving completely different penalties for sexual sin. Those commands are the eternal speech of Allah, and you also have, they claim in the Quran that we know it's the word of Allah because there's you don't find contradiction in it. So that's the eternal state of the Quran, is that it's incoherent.
That's what they do.
Mosab is likable because he is passionate and because he was trained well. Also, bring them home. Yes, indeed.
Do it.
Mosab described his beliefs as Christ consciousness at a talk in a Palm Beach synagogue. Good shirt. AP represent. Yeah, I'm not familiar with the Christ consciousness. I have to check it out. I'm guessing.
I think it's a kind of a new age woo-woo thing.
Yeah, I'm guessing I'm not going to agree with it. And therefore, I must crush it. Just showing my love and appreciation for AP. This comment from Super Duper Wingeling. Leave it to a follower of a extreme nerd and the worst person in the world to come on here and say, just showing my love for an atheist.
I appreciate it, but I cannot accept it. Thank you.
David, you're my age. Remember cows with guns. No, I don't. I do not remember. I remember the phrase. I do not remember what that applied to. Obey says, as an atheist, how do you rationalize the blindness the world has towards Islam and the hate they have towards Israel isn't spiritual? This is directed towards UAP. So
that's funny because
the assumption is that this is so bad that it's got to go beyond human beings. Like there are demonic forces at work. I mean, matter of fact, I was just reading in a Greg Koukl book where he's talking about spiritual forces, and he's like, of all the religions in the world, which is the only one that gets a phobia attached to it to block criticism of it? And it's like, and how does everyone just go along with this to such an extent that no matter how many daily atrocities are carried out in the name of it, you're the evil one for criticizing it and so on? And he says, well, that's pretty straightforward. There are spiritual forces of wickedness in this realm. But how do you rationalize this, AP, as an atheist?
This is something that I actually kind of mentioned when we made our live stream when we came back from Israel. And I even mentioned it to David as we were flying back, where I said, I feel very conflicted about all of this because I had my thoughts about Israel prior to going there. But once we went there, I was amazed, overwhelmed, and I am still amazed by how good people actually are in Israel and how good Israel actually is. And it made very little sense to me that such people would be globally maligned and slandered all the time by people around the world. I don't know. When I was there, I guess I was I felt overwhelmed to such an extent where I thought, I don't know, it doesn't make any sense. It's not based on experience. It's not based on anything. It's almost like there is something greater at play here. That's how I felt then. But of course, there are different explanations to it, such as that a religion like Islam is a cry bully in the world, and what it does as a culture is to be harsh and to intimidate and to always complain, always make everything about itself, always try to threaten people into silence, while also indoctrinating its own people in a very vile and very harsh way to hate others and especially hate the Jews. More than anything, hate the Jews. And constantly make conspiracy theories about the Jews. And that just leads to these blind people who grow up with a cry bully culture, contributing to this giant major hate against Israel and Israelis and Jews in general. And it's not just limited to Jews. It's just the hate against Israel and the hate against Jews is just the one is very apparent, and it's out there. It's there for everyone to see. But there's also a lot of hate for Christians, and in cultures where Hinduism is matters, for example, there's a lot of hate for Hindus and polytheists. But more than anything else, unfortunately, in Islam there is a hate for Jews, and that manifests itself in the most brutal ways. Outside of Islam, of course, there's also the whole anti-Semitism thing going on. But yeah, I don't know. I would say I still feel conflicted about this, and I still want to kind of think about it further, and at some point make a video about it where I talk about this.
And you ain't been making any videos. AP talking about how he's going to make a video someday. Come on, dude.
I might make a video in a few decades. I don't know.
Let's see. Thoughts on Father Calvin Robinson, Common Sense Crusade, Old Catholic Priest in Britain, lotuseaters.com. Yeah, I can picture him in my head. I've never listened to one of his interviews, so I wouldn't know. You familiar with that guy?
Nope, never heard.
Yeah. Pam says I think this is talking about the woman from Starbucks with the bullhorn. She sat across from Mosab telling her the cause has to die. She heard nothing, Mosab told her she has no authenticity to speak. Now she has a bullhorn. Isn't that funny? Matter of fact, that should be, if you and me were in that Starbucks and she shows up, I think we just go Muhammad Hijab and say, you've already been humiliated. You've already been humiliated. You were humiliated on Dr. Phil. You can't
It's funny
speak.
because when she was there on Dr. Phil, sitting across Mosab, she couldn't say anything. She couldn't even bring a word out, and he just silenced her and destroyed her, like crushed her, and all she could do was make faces that seemed very unclear. It was hard to tell whether she's in pain, whether she's annoyed, whether she's feeling some, I don't know, pleasure or something. It looked very, very strange, the faces that she made in response to Mosab speaking. And then there she is screaming at a Starbucks.
Yeah, it's the same dynamic that we just saw in the debate between Sneeko and Destiny, right? That, because I said it yesterday, that you have someone like Sneeko, and as long as he's hanging out with the Dawa guys, and as long as he's hanging out with the OnlyFans girls or whoever he normally hangs out with, those arguments that he's using there could actually work. You get into a stream with Destiny, it's not going to work anymore. It's going to rip it apart. It's going to rip apart the things that would normally work given the crowd that you normally roll with. And then you get over here and they don't work and you don't know what to do. Except, well, maybe we shouldn't be talking about this. It's not really important. It's not really important to talk about age of consent, right? But it was the same dynamic with the girl and Mosab. It's, here's all the things that really work really well when I'm on the college campus screaming with a bullhorn. And the crowd just agrees with everything I say. And all of a sudden I get here and this guy's just demolishing me. Why? Well, you're dealing with an actual knowledgeable critic right now and your stuff doesn't work. That should tell you something about your points. If they do not work against a knowledgeable critic, maybe you got a problem with your views.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Allah's mental confusion is eternal. Yeah, that would be the problem with the eternal Quran. Allah's mental confusion is eternal. AP, Jesus is using you and you don't even know him. Yep. You don't even realize it.
Mm-hmm.
You're sitting here.
I agree.
You're sitting here doing the will of the Almighty and not even realizing. All right, guys. We actually, I was actually concerned given our track record of watching a 4-minute clip and taking 4 hours to go through it with because AP talks so much. Was actually wondering if we were going to get through all those clips because that was probably like, I don't know, 15 to 17 minutes worth of clips from a 2-hour interview, but we actually got through them. So that was cool. It was. So we can go ahead and wrap up. What are we doing on your channel tomorrow?
We are doing something cool.
Plenty of interesting stuff there. I have to say there are multiple interesting topics just in that Mosab interview with Jordan Peterson. In fact, the last 15 minutes or so of that is Mosab's message to college protesters. That's interesting. There's tons of interesting stuff there. And then you've got the Douglas Murray interview and all the insane stuff that's going on in the world. So yeah, guys, we'll be back tomorrow on AP's channel and then on my channel. And then we're going to see. Got to try and get caught up. There's too much stuff going on in the world.
We could be looking at Douglas Murray and Mosab. Douglas Murray also had him on. It seems like a very interesting conversation. I saw a bit of it, and it was very, 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 very interesting stuff. Some very hardcore stuff. Where he even said that people who have this idea of killing people for the virgins, or even if they don't have those ideas, even if they just kill people and just believe that they're doing it to please that very same God who promises those things, they should probably be put in a mental asylum. He was saying things like that. It looks very interesting.
Yeah, so. and it's a different. It's a very different dynamic than the Peterson interview because Jordan, he just doesn't know a lot about Islam. He's done some interviews and stuff, but you can tell when he's discussing things, he doesn't. So back in the day, he had the famous clip, well, Muhammad's a warlord and stuff like that. And then they called him out. He's not a warlord. He's like, oh, okay, I apologize for saying he's a warlord. Like
I guess he's not a warlord.
He hasn't studied Islam. And that's not, most people haven't studied Islam. So that's cool that he actually is interviewing people and then asking stuff. The difference is Douglas Murray knows quite a bit about Islam.
He does.
And so that should be an very interesting discussion. And I'm guessing there's going to be some powerful stuff here. A couple last second super chats. Hey AP, how do you contest the argument that Jews are not genetically tied to Israel?
Long major topic, but there are different ways in which Jews are tied to Israel. You could argue that first off, if you want to go for the genetics, it is proven that that each of the significant Jewish groups have genetic ties to the land of Israel, including the Ashkenazi Jews.
That's me. 2.7%, baby. 27. What? 2.7% Ashkenazi right here, baby. That's why airport security gave us such an easy time getting into Israel.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Plus, we always talk about the Ashkenazi Jews, and people kind of want to go for the Ashkenazi Jews and throw them under the bus. But one thing needs to be said: while they have ties to Israel, Ashkenazi Jews are not even the majority of Jews in Israel nowadays. It's rather there are the Mizrahi Jews and the Sephardic Jews, often counted together, who are not Ashkenazi Jews, who are from the Middle East and North Africa and Spain. Also, aside from that, Jews don't claim to be a race, and it is not claimed in Judaism that Jewish people are a race who are 100% pure from one line, because people in history have converted to Judaism and thereby became part of the nation of the Jews, the nation of Israel, or the tribe of Israel. So it's not just all pure genetics, but the Jewish population is most definitely mostly tied to Israel, to the land of Israel.
Love you guys. Hold it down. Keep something handy. Snipe didn't leave a comment, but awesome super chat here.
Nice.
Running decade. Apostate Prophets, David Wood, Muhammad Hijab, Ali Dawa, and Daniel Hakikachu are all going down in history as destroyers of Islam. Congrats all. And that's the other takeaway. When you're
proud of them.
When your champions become people who are just destroying your ideology from within. See, we're just talking about like demonic forces, right? Like these things look like, how could so many people fall for something that is so clearly evil unless there's something demonic at work? So that's one side. But on the other side, it's how could an ideology prop up people who are destroying it unless they are under the wrath of God?
Yes.
Indeed. You heard it here, folks. You heard it here.
You heard it here.
I look when I look at the Dawa scene and I say, these are the guys. Oh, looks like the Almighty has delivered you into our hand.
Alhamdulillah.
Destiny Tor Sneekos. We'll leave that alone. Leave that alone. Has Douglas Murray and Muhammad Hijab ever debated? These would be epic. Yeah, I think Douglas Murray.
Douglas Murray is afraid of Muhammad Hijab.
I would imagine Douglas Murray would do that. I can't imagine Hijab doing that.
There was actually a little exchange where Muhammad Hijab challenged Douglas Murray to a debate, and Douglas Murray just laughed it off and posted about him and called him what was it? Blowhard Islamist or something like that.
Yeah, but seriously, I mean, Hijab tosses these challenges out. I think Douglas Murray would destroy him.
Yes.
But I think hijab knows that, and so I think it's a situation where it's the same thing as when he challenged the IDF to produce a fighter for an MMA fight against him, and then a guy said, "I'll do it." He's like an actual MMA fighter, even though he's old and way smaller than Muhammad Hijab. And then they start trying to make all these rules. Well, you can't use your jujitsu moves because Hijab doesn't know as much as you, and they're making all these rules about what moves the guy's allowed to use, and he's like, "Come on, guys, I'm not doing this." I think it would be like that. "Oh, I challenge you, Douglas Murray, to debate." If Douglas Murray said, "Fine, let's debate," and okay, well, here's the rules, and it would be like they would make the rules something that no one would ever accept, so that they don't have to actually do it. And then it would say, "You see, Douglas Murray's running."
They would do these things like it will be exclusively filmed by us. We will have the exclusive right to publish it and call it whatever we want. You will not have this and that. It would be just a whole a flood of conditions.
Before you go, check out Kaimyani James later funny stuff.
Inshallah.
Is that spelled correctly? That looks like a name I'm not familiar with.
Oh, that's the guy who is from Columbia University. I think it's a gay guy actually, who went online and talked about how the Zionists are happy that are lucky that he doesn't just go out and murder the Zionists, and maybe that's what they deserve and things like that. And he's now in legal trouble.
Yeah, the first thing that pops up is he says Zionists don't deserve to live, and this is the side that all these college students are on. Yay! It's
the
cool
guy
to say this
ruined
now.
his life.
Yep, he
ruined his career.
It's the same thing. You get into this mob and you start yelling all these things because they're acceptable in your little group. You don't realize things are going to die down, and you're stuck with this. You're stuck with the things you've done for the rest of your life.
Yes.
That's right up there with the girl who walked into the city council meeting. "That's why we're going to show up at your house and kill you all." And then, I got 18 felony charges now. Oopsie.
Is the pro-Palestine movement going to protect her and defend her now? Are they going to get her out of prison? No.
Yeah, no, they won't. No, they won't. AP, can you invite the Atheist Republic channel? They talk about Islam extremism issues, and they are Israel supporters.
I've never heard of Atheist.
Yeah, why aren't you having Armin on and stuff with you?
It was long in the. I wanted to have him on to talk about Iran and Israel and Iran issues. He likes to talk about that stuff. I might do that soon. Again, I don't know. I have a lot of. I'm supposed to invite a lot of different people. I just don't do it and don't reach out and just leave it alone. We're just doing this whole thing here where you and I go live and talk.
And by full disclosure, everyone, that's usually my preference. That's why, there are tons of people I could go live with. I normally, I get along with AP and we got a good rhythm going and stuff like that. And so you normally default to that. Like, here's the topic. Oh, let's show the topic. It's normally, "Hey, AP, want to cover this?" And that's how, versus, going out and, "Hey, anyone want to join me to have a talk on this and stuff?" But
yeah. What's actually happening, and what David is not saying, because we don't want to make that public, is that we have a contract with the Jews, with with the Mossad, which includes us two working together. So, despite totally disagreeing with each other and hating each other so much, we have to work together to please the
guys,
Jews.
we have a quota. There's a quota, right? We have to produce a certain amount of live streams defending Israel, and it's kind of hard to do if we get a bunch of other people involved, because other people might want to talk about other stuff. You know what I mean? So we gotta get the shekels.
Yeah.
Let's see. Dwood, 2.7% Jewish, same tribe as his hero. Christian. AP, 0% German, not at all close to his hero's tribe. Atheist. Draw your own conclusions. Someone needs to put all of these together into one long thing, because it would be the most massive case for Christianity ever. Yes. Immortal said, "New Christian, yesterday, first time I forgot to pray, and today my best friend tells me they are leaving forever. I don't know what to do anymore. I have been crying all morning. Please, God, don't do this to me." Yeah, I wouldn't take every little, things. You don't have to see that as a connection. In other words, you don't have to say, "Oh, I didn't pray. God is punishing me by taking away my best friend," and so on.
Shan't do that.
Father Robinson is Anglo-Catholic, not Roman Catholic. It's a Protestant denomination that has similar traditions, but it's not linked to Rome or the Pope. Mumu Joe says, "Can we go over one of the Bassam Yousef BS interviews?" Yeah, we went through that in the past. I thought he was funny. AP didn't think he was funny at all. But we could. I mean, he's done it. He's done a bunch of shows, especially one of the ones where he gets wrecked. We might want to go through one of those at some time.
I think what we should actually do is to review that woman, Craighead Barney. Have you heard of Craighead Barney?
No, that's a woman.
Did you see that video? There's a video that was going on that went viral of some woman going up to Alec Baldwin and telling him,
"Oh, I saw that.
saying, Save free Palestine! Save free Palestine!"
Yeah, I saw that.
And he gets annoyed.
And he slaps her phone. Yeah,
yeah. And then he I think punches or slaps or something. It turns out that the person who filmed that is a person who plays a role, a character named Crackhead Barney, and just goes up to people that does these random ambush interviews and just acts in completely absurd ways.
Oh, that's funny.
So yeah, and she was also on Piers Morgan after this whole Alec Baldwin incident, acting like she's been completely like hospitalized and can't walk anymore.
That's funny.
So,
It's funny.
so,
Getting someone's face till they react, and then you're the victim. Where have we heard that before? Gonna start a GoFundMe page for Sneeko. Yeah, Sneeko needs help. He's gonna have to recover. He's gonna have to recover after that interview. And Yvette here finally. When is AP going to give his life to Jesus? I'm praying for him.
inshallah. Yeah.
You got all these Christians saying they love AP, concerned about his welfare, and all these other some different group saying they want him to die and be wiped out.
I don't like welfare. I'm not a communist.
Interesting. Yeah. All right, guys. So, yeah, we will be back, Lord willing, tomorrow on AP's channel, possibly going through the Douglas Murray interview with Mosab. And then I have a couple ideas for Sunday. I haven't settled on one yet. But, yeah, I will pick one by tomorrow, so you all know what to expect for Sunday. All right, guys. And, yeah, again, the link to the full interview, if you can, I encourage you to watch the full interview. Very powerful stuff. In fact, there were lots of little short things that Mosab said that were very powerful. He said lots of little things. Like he would give like a one-line response that I didn't pull up because it's kind of too short. But they'd be great little like Twitter clips and stuff. So guys, you gotta spread the stuff. So make a short little Twitter clip, post that, post a link to the full interview. That's how you can help. That's how you can help get the information out there. All right. True. We will catch you all tomorrow. Be there, or we'll assume that you are on the side of Hamas and lots of cocaine. Catch y'all later.